Hello, everyone, and welcome to Very Angry Dogs, Story 2, Chapter 5, with Storyteller Chris Allen. We're joined by the usual suspects here. Um, just a quick announcement before we get rolling. We will be taking a 1 week hiatus this coming Saturday due to the holiday, but we will be live again the following Saturday. Without further ado, I'm going to kick it over to Chris Allen. Chris, why don't you take it away? Let everyone know what they may have missed last week if they weren't present, and where the story is currently framed. Chris, why don't you take it away?
I'm not sure whether uh, I'm supposed to be speaking now. I didn't hear anything from Dan, who may not have unmuted himself for us. I'm not
I
quite
don't
sure.
think I don't think he has.
Oh no! Yes, I had the microphone muted. That was very unfortunate. You've just seen me muppeting over here. So I'll go through the very quick intro again. Welcome to Very Angry Dogs, Apprentice Edition. We don't know what we're doing here. Story 2, Chapter 5. A quick announcement before we get started. We will be skipping next week's session because of the holidays. We will be resuming the Saturday after with our normal scheduled programming. I'm going to pass it over to Chris now and stop embarrassing myself so that he can give you guys a little rundown of what you may have missed last session and frame the current whereabouts of our hooligans. Take it away, Chris.
Okay, as per usual, content warning for body horror, extreme violence, and occult horror, because this is Very Angry Dogs, a game of Well for the Forsaken, which tends to get messy and unpleasant at times. Not so much last session. Well, in the aftermath of Stormbringer blood-eagling himself to allow an eldritch horror to leap out of his innards, the pack were mostly recuperating and trying to figure out what the fuck had happened and what to do next. So it was quite an insular session, really, very much focused on the pack and their wolf-blooded allies internally. The pack discussed what had happened, tried to figure out what was going on with the glass tumor in this hidden pocket of the shadow, dove into Great Aunt Claris's notes to learn more about the history of what was going on here, and discovered that this appeared to be the focus of her attention and possibly her predecessor's attention for a very long time. About 30 years ago, something went wrong in a ritual to try and tap into it, and since then she had discovered a different way of accessing it. Similarly to how Stormbringer had accessed it, using an avian spirit as a bridge to reach the other side, or whatever divine or profane power lies there. The pack was somewhat split or confused still as to what the nature of what they discovered that side is, but they had at least found a firm footing on the path of coming to a future understanding by following the footsteps of their predecessor in this respect. As well as that, there were internal mutterings and discussions, especially with Mary, the wolf-blooded, about how the pack should proceed, including Mary trying to be sort of putting her money where her mouth is and be helpful by telling the pack some information she discovered about the victim of the Bashilu in session 1 of this story. Turned out to be a drug dealer and courier for one of the county line's drug gangs. The Bashilu killing her was one thing. The local criminal underworld, such as it is, was more up in arms about the fact that the apparent shipment of drugs or some such that she was carrying had also vanished, and that this was therefore a matter of interest, as well as suggestions that Jimmy Gibbon, proprietor of Possession, victim of cruel shutter shades theft by the pack, might know something. There might also be other people at Possession, or the kind of people who go to the sleazy nightclub of Gleesham, who might be able to give more information on what the fuck's actually going on with respect to that. Obviously, that's not directly about the main threat of the day, as it were, Corley Hawkhurst, but again, it is part of the troublesome tapestry of Gleesham's existence and the problems that nestle therein, especially with Bashilu running around, rat hosts capable of infesting humans. As well as that, the pack went to have a quick chat to the fear spirits, the known fear spirits that they have something of a cordial relationship with, and found Creeping Dread, the reeve of the glass nest, who again circuitously explained as best he could, clearly bound by agreements or influences in effect as to what he could say, that, well, his suggestion was that Corley Hawkhurst is not in control of the masked fear spirits in Gleesham, a beneficiary as well as a source of sustenance for them, but not the man in charge. And he is not the one who places these masks upon them. Creeping Dread is clearly rather keen for a shift in the balance of power in the shadow to take place, but is limited in what it can say, what it can tell you. But it has indicated that there is a power afoot in the shadow of Gleesham, one that is not Corley, although it may be intertwined with him. It also agreed to the potential for a deal with Johnny, relating to potentially blinding those spirits for a while, although it cannot do it permanently. It has some means of temporarily distracting or blinding them. Back at home, the pack were discussing digging into their learnings as Stormbringer's flesh slowly knitted back up, and finally coming to the conclusion that they needed to get going into town at some point soon and start to dig into what the fuck's going on and pull on some of these threads until maybe some answers come out relating to some of the problems afoot. While they were doing that, Johnny had potted back up to the barrow to dig and sniff around out of curiosity as to why that particular spot might have been chosen as a place, as a ritual site essentially for the Kestrel possessing Stormbringer to use it, Stormbringer as a gateway out. After some digging around, he found it is a sacred place of strange nature, and buried beneath the barrow, a buried stone bowl or fire pit that tastes of things that spark and ignite the soul of a werewolf with greater power, or stir them to purpose. But there's not enough there to tell you what it was for, and a strong sense through your tribal bond that this is holy ground. Upon emerging under the sky of the late afternoon sky on this last day of the new moon, and re-establishing your connection with the moon, though she is not currently present in the sky here, separately, back in the mansion, Thornbreaker had slammed full throttle into a vision prophetic dream. Now, I can't remember exactly what Stormbringer was. I think Stormbringer was glassworking at the time. Johnny was up checking this out, and Harmonious Flame and Thornbreaker were down in the kitchen of the mansion, the most homely part of it. Johnny.
I think Stormbringer was taking Jenny home.
Right, that was it. Yes, Stormbringer was driving Jenny home
to
make sure she got home before any questions were asked. And Thornbreaker and Harmonious Flame were in the kitchen, the most homely part of this mansion. It's a big building. It has many floors. It has dozens and dozens of rooms, most of which you still haven't really cleared out or using as anything other than dust-covered draped storerooms for stuff. The kitchen has become something of the heart and soul of the pack's activity for now. It's small, it's comfortable, it's warm. It's a nice little place when the rain is drumming against the lead-lined glass windows, the little diamonds of glass in the windows. Not raining now. No real weather patterns of concern. Nothing untoward. Which is perhaps all the more worrying for Harmonious Flame when Thornbreaker appears to go into a fit at the table. Thornbreaker, you were in the middle of your conversation with Harmonious Flame, nursing your mug of coffee, when you feel the sensation like the world around you your perspective warps and the world around you is simply pulled away. You get that almost tunnel-like vision for a moment, and then it is distant and gone. Prophetic dreams are usually deeply symbolic. They are usually very abstract. You are tapping into the power of an ever-shifting goddess in orbit around the planet who is not known for its... not known for operating on the same level as a little drip of its power like a single werewolf. So you're used to prophetic dreams being quite strange. They can be quite visceral and direct at times, but they're usually pretty weird and abstract. This one is different. It's not that it isn't abstract. There certainly is symbolism, but certainly at the beginning, it feels very anchored, very grounded. You feel something akin to physical sensation of your body. It's not real sensation, but like a fizzing touch of you being somewhere, as if you are shrouded in some sort of static that can't quite resolve itself, but through which you get hints of the feelings and sensations that you are now made a witness to. At first, you think there's nothing. There's blackness, like you feel that you are blind. Then the edges resolve into stars in the sky. You are looking up at the night sky, but you are still blind. That is to say, the center of this smear of sky is darker than the rest. And it is not darker because there are no stars. It is darker because you are blind to it. You don't know why, but you know that you are blind to this swathe of sky. Around the edges is the sky as normal, which you are not blind to, but here you are. You are looking up at this darkness, and then your sense of vision drops. You are on a windswept grassy hill. The landscape beyond, shrouded in darkness, is only an impression. The wind rustles over you, and through this sense of sort of static, as if you can't quite resolve your coexistence with what you're seeing, that you do feel something akin to a cold wind blowing. And on this hilltop, there is flame. There is fire. It starts just as that. It is a hastily assembled, crudely gathered bonfire of dead wood. It burns fiercely, and around it wolves gather, or men and women who look like wolves, or wolves who look like men and women. Shape-shifting, certainly. They are werewolves, but they are impressions of werewolves. And they drag something that writhes and makes squealing frequencies in the static around you that you cannot pass, you cannot understand, you can't really quite see it properly. The wolves drag this thing of wrongness and blackness, and you feel you are blind to what you're seeing, and they drag it into the fire with a crash of flame. Sparks rise, and the fire consumes the writhing horror. They pin it, they hold it, it burns them, they hold it nonetheless until it is nothing but ash, threads of ephemera, and the last echoes of its alien frequencies. It happens again. You are not seeing the same day, you are not seeing the same time, but now this fireplace is a fire pit. And you see this over and over again. And then next time it's something more built, heavily stone-lined, and then it is a great stone bowl or basin on the top of the hill. And each time the wolves bring something dark and writhing that they have hunted. And at first they are dragging it as a desperate end to a hunt, and later it is almost it is almost ritualized. You see it as more like an offering than a desperate attempt to kill something. Sometimes it is still that. Sometimes there is still blood and violence in the fire, but as often as else that it is the offering of a trophy, the offering of a sacrifice, or offering of a kill, of dark things that squeal and writhe, but often now lie limp by the time they're dragged to be incinerated in the flame. And as time passes, the wolves become less desperate. They become more like they are participating in a ritual or a ceremony. The wolves change each time this vision flickers past. Sometimes there is crossover. You see the same werewolves briefly, but then they're older in the next one, then older, and then they're gone, and there are new werewolves. Time floods past. It cascades past. You feel the kiss of the sun and the whisper of the rain, the dance of the wind on your skin through this static sheath, pressing through as days, years, who knows how long, cascades past. Sky flittering and buzzing static as it tries to conform to whatever the current moment in this cycle is. Then things rapidly change. The fire simply stops. It dims. There is no one. There is no one. There is no one. You see emptiness. You know time is passing, but no one is here. No one is offering these. No one is placing these things in the fire. And then it's gone. Then it's simply covered. The passage of time has simply laden over the bowl. And then there are others though. There is a small standing stone or a post, a carved wooden post marked with symbols of meaning. There are people. You see people. Some are werewolves, some are not, but they only come in dribs and drabs. You sense they know this place has meaning, but they no longer know what that meaning is. Their clothes and garb are strange, sometimes simple, sometimes less so. There is metal, you see, but it is certainly not a modern people upon this hill. It rolls forward, it dances forward, and then suddenly there is earthwork and the interring. Suddenly this hilltop is replaced, this swathed with men and women digging. A barrow raises up, and dead. You see it slowing as you see the interring of dead into the barrow, with honor, respect, and duty, now far above this place where once wolves burned dark things. It flickers a few more times. It judders. It continues to cascade forwards, and then the barrow is almost nothing but a lump. And you feel this passage of time pressing around you. The pressure eases, it releases. Still time is passing, but there is no longer this weight to it of portentous matter. And your perspective rises. There is no longer a fire on this hill, but here in the sky, though the distant edges are starlit, here in the sky you are nonetheless blind to it. That sense of presence then fails. It simply, the static around you disperses, and you hear a crunch. Not quite sure what it is for a moment. It's a crunch. It's a wet crunch. It is the crunch of a tool breaking earth. And you open your eyes as you are lying among bodies. Bodies strewn with bodies. There is blood and there is dirt. You don't know where you are. The sky is blue, but it doesn't look like you're on a hill. The only thing that looms around you is you gasp and you twist slightly, looking at this pile of dead in which you are half buried. They writhe, but not with your movement, your last half gasps of life that is fleeing you even now. They writhe with dark, sticky something that trills with alien noises, something that is half dead, or is it you don't know if it was ever alive. It's partly in you. And the wet crunch is a man standing over you, the last thing you see. He's wearing clothes, you don't know what era they're from, but they are certainly not modern. With a tool of some sort, a crude shovel. He is bloodied, wild-eyed, matted. He looks somewhere between terrified and determined. And he is burying you and everyone else in this infected, clustered mass of people. And your vision dissolves as earth covers your face. You choke, you gasp. And the last thing you see is a horned, inky black shape, like a mask. The mask you've seen before in your last prophetic dream. Not the mask that the muscular Dalu figure was wearing, who was pressing down on the great cauldron, but the figure behind him. The one who held up 5 points of moonlight, like little twisted butterflies pinned to the sky. That is what closes in on your perception from all directions, and then your breath is gone. You come to, heaving for breath, real breath, as if you have simply run out of it, at your kitchen table, presumably Harmonious Flame. This has taken this is a short juddering fit, and then he is slumped and then heaves in this breath as if he's never breathed before.
Whoa! He shakes slightly as he bolts upright from the table.
Thank goodness. Thornbreaker, are you okay?
What
was that?
He turns wild-eyed to Harmonious Flame. I've never experienced anything like that. I think it was a message from Luna, but it's different than anything else I've ever seen. It was decanted. It was sharper.
I've never heard a message from Luna coming during the day. Must have been important.
He holds his head. I dreamt about a place of ritual, a stone bowl. There was a fire, and they were making sacrifices. Uratha were making sacrifices to it, and then there was this dark figure. I've seen the figure before.
Dark figure from your previous dream. which you told us about.
Thornbreaker nods.
Which sounds like something that might be controlling those fear spirits.
They have to be connected. The masks are very similar.
Are you telling us more detail about this?
He describes the way the masks look, the horn masks.
Division? Okay, so werewolves were sacrificing something.
Yeah, he describes it as a dark, writhing, squealing mass.
Okay. Sounds like some sort of well, I've researched a lot of werewolf myths, and there's a lot of mentions of stuff that's not from Earth, if that makes sense. That's not supposed to be here.
Where's it from?
Space. The stuff that
Okay.
Luna is protecting us from.
Well, that's not terrifying.
I guess there used to be more of that in the times before. And thanks to our ancestors' work, there's not so much of it now.
I need to go take a shower. You need to call the others and let them know.
Okay, try to remember as much as you can from this vision. Maybe we can figure out something important.
He nods.
And then I call the others,
Okay.
send them messages.
So what we'll do is we'll move to the next scene. Will be Thornbreaker emerging from his shower. Johnny has come back down the hill at his easy time. No idea that his emergence from the barrow has triggered his packmate getting a direct injection of Luna juice to the forebrain. Stormbringer, you dropped Jenny off. Was there anything you wanted to do at Jenny's while you were there? Oh, you are
muted, bud.
Oh, he's
All
he's
right, better. Yep, I just, as soon as I started talking, I'm like, nope, shit, this isn't gonna work. So I'm actually going to go by the club that we were planning on hitting tonight.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna kind of scope the area out this time, not, sneaking in the back door, going to the bathroom, running out, stealing the poor guy's sunglasses.
Yeah.
I'm gonna actually scope out the area, like, okay, where's parking, where's this, where's security, like, I don't want to say casing the joint, because that's what I do every time I go into a bar. I check for all the exits, where the security is, all that. Just
but you are casing
the joint. Yeah, I'm not casing it to knock it over. I'm casing it to get a lay of the land, and when SHF, I can get the hell out quickly.
Can you give me a wits plus streetwise roll?
Wits plus streetwise may have been the worst idea I've ever had.
+1 die to it because because you're in human, you've got slightly enhanced senses as a human wandering around. And it isn't technically a perception check, but it's still something where your senses will be helpful.
Okay. Right. Okay, so we're gonna wing willpower at this one. Just so I have some dice. More than one. It is not a chance roll. I have one die available to me.
Okay.
It is not a chance die. But I'm going to fling a little willpower at this just to make it...
extra saucy.
Just to hope that something happens. No successes.
Okay.
Can I opt to make this a dramatic failure?
Yes, you can.
Do it.
Okay, so basically, you come away from this completely convinced that you have successfully cased this joint, and you're like, okay, that's clearly the way out. Those are the ways. That's the problem is you've just fucked it up. Your perception of where everything is and the ways out and all that are just wrong. You've completely misread the internal map from the outside of what you're seeing. But you are quite convinced that you've got this nailed, bud.
Awesome. I just wanted the beat.
Now, in terms of what's actually the obvious stuff you see, I mean, during the day there are no security guards, etc. around, and it's all locked up and
right.
Not locked.
Right.
It's quiet anyway. So really, the misreading is on your attempt to understand the internals from the external kind of look over. But you don't relevant. There is a security camera over the front door entrance that you're pretty sure works. There's a security camera around the back that you're pretty sure doesn't. It isn't connected because when you were in there last time, you don't think that's actually connected up. You think it's one they've just run to dissuade people because they go, "Oh, there's a security camera there." But internally, yeah, you've 100% solved this one, buddy.
So in other words, boys, I've cocked it up. It's the exact opposite. The front door's got the fake camera. Pete, we're already on camera. They know we broke it.
Okay, so when you then make it back, having dropped off Jenny, again quietly,
feeling all proud of myself.
Yeah, you come back. So we're back in the kitchen. Thornbreaker looking slightly the worse and slightly the better for wear, having had a shower after having the vision. I'm presuming that when Johnny turned in, you got the message from Harmonious Flame basically, and Thornbreaker saying, "Hey, come back, Johnny." Thornbreaker had another vision. So here you are together once again.
Johnny is in the kitchen sink just washing his hands of any dirt or mud that might have stayed after he changed form.
And the others will be able to sense that you smell of rich, fresh, turned as well.
Stormbreaker's going to walk in, look at Thornbreaker, and go, "The fuck did you let out?" Because that's the look he's always got when shit goes down. I get it. Look at him. Well,
I don't
speak, boy, speak.
I don't let things out. I let things in. Visions from Luna. She had a.
And you called me the dumbass.
She had a particularly strong bit of words for me this morning.
Y'all think I'm the idiot?
No, we don't.
Ignoring that for the moment, I turned to Thornbreaker. Go on.
I saw a barrow mound, beneath which was buried a stone bowl where ritual bonfires were held, in which Uratha from a very long time ago would throw writhing alien things into to purge them and get rid of them, essentially. Then I felt like I was being buried alive by someone. There were other bodies around me. But I saw a figure, and the thing that resonated here was I've seen this figure in a previous dream. It's this dark figure with a horn mask holding up points of silvery light that it uses to mark a Dalu. That seems to be fighting back something from getting out, something trapped within the earth.
How he gets his renounce.
So very
Harmonious
quiet.
Flame says.
So very quietly, Johnny shuts off the water and turns to Thornbreaker. When exactly did you get punched in the brain?
He looks at the clock on the wall. What was it? Half hour ago?
About 20 minutes.
Yeah, about that, which was about when Johnny, that was about when you came out the barrow.
I think I know the physical location of what you saw.
Harmonious Flame turns. Really?
Do tell.
Yeah.
Stick us there at once.
I was like, Jag is kind of going to start side-eyeing Johnny, because at least when I let shit out, I'm the only one who gets hurt.
Well, we've been there
So
already.
far?
So far.
We've been there already. It's the barrel mound that the Kestrel used as her ritual.
Right.
To
Moving
get
right
out of here. To get out of wherever it was locked into.
Stormbringer gives an involuntary shudder.
I went up there and I thought that it might be a locus or a place of power, somewhere it could draw essence from to get out. I dug and I found a stone bowl. And I couldn't make heads or tails of whether it was for blood or fire, but it did smell of fire. The other thing is
oh, gone.
The other thing is that when I was there, it felt like the essence in my body was on fire, not like in a bad way, like a good way, if that makes sense. And through my tribal bond, I know it's important. I know it's sacred. I know it needs to be protected.
It's amazing. We should go there at once. I need to see this. And Thornbreaker, you should go too to see if it is the one from your vision.
How about we take a hot step back here, just for a minute? And I know this is not usually the thing that I
look
say.
who's talking.
Yeah. Well, look who's talking. The guy who's had things ripped out of his own chest, all right? Maybe I know what I'm talking about finally. Just a little bit. We don't know what this is. But what we do know is that the Kestrel used it very specifically to springboard out of my chest and into the real world, right? This is agreed upon. This is known fact, not opinion. So maybe before we go diving face first into this, we do a little research out here. And he does the little out here. Why don't we check local lore, local history, and find out what's supposedly fucking buried there before we go digging it up? Just
I already dug it up.
Stormbringer's going to break the glass that he's holding in his hand involuntarily. You are never allowed to say shit about me making mistakes again.
Nothing bad has happened from his mistake yet.
You? He turns and points at Thornbreaker. Shut up. We are learning from my mistakes. We are learning from my mistakes.
Thornbreaker says, I am definitely foregoing the Barrow Mound, but I'd like to take a hot second to recognize something that you said, Harmonious Flame, which is, this is how he gets his renown?
So I was thinking because... Okay, let me step back a little. Parkhurst does not believe in the werewolf myth, right?
Yes.
But he has gifts. And he is a 20-year-old werewolf. He is getting those gifts somehow. And probably renown as well. If he doesn't believe in the werewolf gift, how would he be getting the renown? He would need to call up a loon, right?
Sure.
Because that's how we get a renown, through loons. And he's not a pure. He's definitely not a pure, because to become a pure, you have to go through a ritual, and the old witch would know that he is a pure if he was one. So he needs a loon to get his renown. Now, from your vision, I am deducing that whatever this horned spirit with the 5 lights is something that is holding loons captive to force them to give renown to Hawkhurst, who is some sort of maybe agent of this thing, or in the flesh side.
But something not a loon giving renown?
No, she's saying that it's holding loons captive and forcing them to give him renown.
Missed that.
That's royally fucked.
Jives, though. That's...
It is. And too bad it's not a full moon, or else we could ask Jack's buddy about it. See if it knows anything.
I could still ask him. He just may not know much, and he's usually in a weakened form this time around. But he does tend to show. He's how we got the fuck. I can't remember the name of the spirits now. Who gave me the wisdom renew? Yeah, those guys. But yeah, I mean, I can still ask him tonight. We can see what happens. Aruhiru is my guy. There we go. Found the name.
So, if it helps,
I can still ask him.
This, Chris, I kind of felt this, that location tug at my purity, right? I couldn't make anything of it, but, like, I felt it tugging at my purity right now.
Yes.
If it helps, I don't know, I don't think it's profane. I think it's sacred because I felt it tug at my purity renowns.
As a hunter in darkness, he would know.
Jack's also a Rahu. He might do more for him. But on top of that, when I was down there, before the moon even would rise, I felt its power, and I gained the essence I normally would from seeing it. It's an important location to our people. It needs to be studied, it needs to be understood, it needs to be protected.
These things are exactly what I came here for, to study this sort of phenomena.
I think we're all in agreement. We need to go to the Barrow Mound. If you're willing to call Aruhiru, perhaps we should call him there. Maybe he'll be stronger.
Jack's going to take a look at his watch. What time is it?
It's late afternoon, so you've got a while before sunsets. Even you won't get a loon during daytime.
So Jack's going to walk over to the fridge, pull out a beer. Anybody else?
Thornbreaker raises a hand.
He pulls out the whole six-pack, knowing that that's going to get destroyed soon. He's going to pull out his phone, place an order through the local beer delivery service, and have a few more six-packs delivered. It's going to be a long night.
Getting like local craft beer or some sort of, or is he looking for American beer or what?
He just pulls out and orders whatever. He's been so. I don't know how much you know about Stormbringer's background, how much you kind of paid attention. Stormbringer was an American college student who came here during his sophomore year is the second year. It's freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, right? Came here during his sophomore year on a rugby scholarship. So he doesn't give a damn what the beer is, but does have a bit of a taste for, now that he's not playing rugby and can't get drunk on it anymore, he goes more towards the craft beers for the flavors. So it's whatever local craft brewery we found that will deliver out to the manor, the hall.
Yeah, I mean, basically what you're doing, you'll be having to use probably one of the local supermarket delivery services, and they will have some of that on their list, and they'll bring it out and then they'll deliver that. It won't be quick, but you've got beer here to get through first. So
exactly. And then we've got, you know what? I'm also going to place an order with the cider place that that the Coloplexy is at. Not that we don't have anything with him that we have to drink his cider regular, right?
No.
What is I know we had to plant the trees. I just want to make sure we're not violating any of our agreements. I know we had to plant some orchard with him.
Yeah, you have to maintain your little orchard, and that's it.
Okay, but we don't have to do cider or anything with it.
Nothing else at the moment. You might ask for something like that if you need more from him, but for now there's no ongoing.
Okay. And our trees right now are still too fledgling to produce.
Yeah.
10-4. All right, cool.
Yeah. So Thornbreaker also turns to Stormbringer and says, also, I know that you have a specific connection with Aruhiru, but if it's all right with you, I'd like to ask him to brand me.
As long as you're not going to make me look bad with a terrible story of purity, I've got no problem with that. I warn you, he's a little intense.
No, isn't.
As in, there's going to be a lot of screaming, a lot of yelling, A lot of loud noises. Just saying. Good guy, though. I hold up my beer.
Good guy.
I've seen Ralunims before.
Well, we haven't called one before, Ag. That's why, or they haven't called one before. I call mine fairly regularly, but usually in private because, he's my guy, not theirs. No offense, guys.
Are you jealous?
No. It's one of those things that like it's my touchstone, so I'm a little more personal about it.
Sure.
So I don't call him when everybody's around, because usually if I'm calling him, it's because I need to talk to him about something, and I'm honoring the fact that he and I have a connection, and it's not a connection to my pack. He's not our totem. So.
Anyway, okay. Anybody? Any other?
Sorry.
Yes, he's my spirit, not yours.
With the time... Oh, sorry.
Since we have some time, I will need to go back to Jenny's to pick up my stuff. I can't stay there by myself now that Hawkers knows we're here.
I'm going to throw her the keys to the truck. You know how to drive.
Yeah.
Okay, so the pack are settling down for the time before darkness, then, presuming to do some prep work before you go up and poke the barrow. Stormbringer, you've also got pings from some of your rugby mates in your touchstone saying, confirming we'll be in the pub. But that you will have time between when darkness creeps in and when the pub, they've agreed to meet you for your clubbing night.
Yeah, I figured, night clubbing, we're going to go at like 10 o'clock.
Harmonious Flame, you're able to go back and get clothes. I assume you're coming up with some excuse for Jenny's parents your other cousins, as to why you're staying somewhere else.
Yeah, I tell them that the new owners of Castrejo allowed me to move into my old house, my family's old house, the cottage.
Okay, so digging into info. So, what do people want to try and find out?
By way of,
You said do some research into local folklore or anything like that to do with the barrow and things like that.
Everybody kind of everybody kind of said no, poo. We're just gonna dive face first. So I figured that's what we were doing.
I'm fine with that, but I don't have any. If I can make it with an investigation roll, it'll be fantastic. Otherwise, it's going to fail miserably.
In this case, it'd be more likely to be an academics-based role.
Yeah,
I'm digging into just local history about like maybe who's buried in the Barrow Mound, or if it doesn't go back that far, what general peoples buried it there, and anything in terms of that general vicinity that would be relevant to who might be or what might be buried in the Barrow Mound. And I'm even looking in like folklore, not just history. Like, that's where the Coloplexy is buried, that kind of stuff. Not just the, hey, so-and-so general died on this field and this day, and we just threw some dirt over.
Yep. No, that's the Barrow Mounds are a bit different to that kind of thing. So, what I'm going to need from somebody is I'm going to need an intelligence plus academics roll.
Ag, that's probably your department, but I'm going to throw some anyway because it was my idea. I probably went to the library with you.
Yeah, it is my department. It is, in fact, what Harmonious Flame came here to research almost exactly.
Actually, you know what? Can we do this, Chris, as a group action?
Yes, but only one of you doing the teamwork thing. Otherwise, more than that, it's not really going to get you much more interesting stuff. So
anybody have anything better than 3 dice pool to help try and boost Ag?
Nope.
Thornberger? Okay, and then do we still get the teamwork action benefit from what's his face, even though he's discorporated right now?
Yes. He's not dead, so we still get our totem.
What does that do again for us, Pete? I don't remember. I forgot to write that down.
Okay, you add +1 die to your teamwork rolls in this. This particular bit of it that applies is +1 die to teamwork roll.
So I add 1, and then my successes add to Ag's, and she also gets 1?
She doesn't get +1 on hers because she's other people are doing the teamwork to help her.
Gotcha.
Anyone who's helping her gets +1.
2 extra dice, Ag.
Successes still.
Hey, better than no success.
Sorry, small child moment. I'm still
No, that's fine.
So, 2 successes. That's not unusual. You'd usually get about 3 on 9. So yeah, that's nothing wildly off. Okay, so after digging around, you start flicking through some things, googling stuff, flipping open some books, finding some PDFs of stuff online, and trying to look through it. Most barrow mounds are Neolithic. Specifically in this area, they're mostly late Neolithic. So you know towards the end of that, they're into the sort of early Bronze Age. This does make it quite hard to know who was interred in any of these mounds because people weren't writing any of this crap down at this point. The barrow mound in question, you are fairly sure, is at least 3,000 years old from some local info about it. They're at least 3,000 years old, which gives you at least a date time as to when werewolves in Thornbreaker's vision may have been active, given it was prior to the barrow mound being raised. You see in a few places in some of the sort of people's tentative artwork of, and here's what people in this area may have looked like. And looking at some of those pictures, Thornbreaker, you're like, some of that matches a bit what you saw, so that kind of matches up that. You're looking at sort of the late Neolithic into early Bronze Age. But you can't be sure, you can't really nail down the time specifically. What you do know is the other two are sort of going over and going, oh, look at this, and here's some pictures. You see a picture of someone from later on Iron Age. You see one of the pictures is someone in what Saxon gear, Anglo-Saxon. And that, you see, look, there's a lot of similarities to the brief vision you got of the bloodied, frightened, determined chap with the shovel who was burying you. He was wearing Saxon-era accoutrements and clothing, which is much later. That's 600s to 800s kind of period that you look at, or 500 to 800s period that you're looking at there. So you have something of a date zone for when you were being buried alive, but no more sort of meaningful things off the top of it than that. The barrow itself turns up in local folklore. Obviously, there's a lot of folklore relating to the barrow mounds and the people and the buried people buried in them, and there's a lot of stuff that refers to them as essentially fairy mounds, as referencing them as places where the fairies live. And again, Dorset fairies are things like the colopexy, not little butterfly-winged fellows. And there's a lot of crossover folklorically between this idea of these fae and things under the earth and old kings and such like. It's a weird hybrid stream of, it's a spectrum of folklore. The specific mound atop the hill, atop this particular hill, is not the most famous one on this chain, but it is definitely turned up in some folklore relating to noises, sounds. In several places around Dorset, there are references, as Johnny noted when he was there, of places that are said to be thin places between this realm and the next, between this world and the fairy world, and they are noted for sounds like bells and the laughter of otherworldly beings. And that is associated with this barrow mound as something people have occasionally reported. And when I say occasionally, I mean a couple of times over the last few hundred years, not like every day someone goes down there. Johnny, that does, however, match with what you experienced when you dug down to it, which is that you felt the skin of reality is thin there, and you felt and you heard those strange frequencies and noises ringing through. They aren't what you described them to Thornbreaker. Those are not the same sounds as the alien squealings that came from the things Thornbreaker being burned. This is a different set of frequencies. Beyond that, there's nothing really untoward associated with the barrow. It was excavated in the 1960s when they went through and they properly, because before that it was just a lump in the sort of the sheep grazing area up there. It was excavated in the 1960s. They extracted it and they found out that it was filled with probably a late Neolithic, early Bronze Age chieftain and his closest, and a bunch of his warriors and clan. Notably, the examination of those corpses implied that they had, this is slightly unusual, had all died in battle. All of the skeletons, although obviously bad damaged by time, also had indications that they had been severely wounded or killed with weaponry or great deal of force. Obviously, once you know about the dark side of the world, there's whole set of options as to what some poor paleontologist or archaeologist is trying to put together. You start going, well, the only thing we can explain is it was killed by a large animal or weaponry or both at the same time, which of course makes a lot more sense if you're a werewolf, you know. But these people died violently. And they were all interred probably around the same time. It wasn't built as a barrow mound chambers were filled over time as people died. It was one thing. They built the barrow, they interred all these dead at the same time. But beyond that, it doesn't look like the archaeologists ever dug down far enough to find the bowl or anything else about it.
So what you're saying is I'm a better archaeologist than the professional archaeologists.
Yes, because you can smell otherworldly energies that they can't. The only other thing that pops up with any of your folkloric research that has any connection to anything is that the closest thing you can find to the strange horned mask that Thornbreaker keeps seeing is the Oozer mask, which is just a bit of folklore that he uses. You know, it was a rough music element. It was
so we didn't know about the Oozers is the cult too, isn't it?
Yes.
So wait, did we make the connection with the masks already?
I can't remember.
We did know that was related to the Oozer's mask. We didn't know why or what that means, but we did make that initial connection.
That you had been seeing the Oozer's mask this whole time.
Correct.
Okay. Sorry, I couldn't remember if we did or not.
The thing you're seeing is weirder and more eldritch and horrifying, but you can see the patterning that the Oozer mask and the mask clamped on the spirits is following. It's like an impression of that, as it were.
Sure.
So Chris, one thing, and I'll make a separate investigation roll for this. It's not something I really was wanting to the group from. Jack is also going to look in his research to see if there's any reason why the Kestrel would have used this as the altar to rip out of my body.
Yeah, that will probably be an int plus occult roll.
Okay. It's kind of a taking a back seat to obviously, everything else, which is why he's not going to bring anybody else into it, but he's going to take a look himself.
Can Johnny check out the glass tumor in the meantime?
One success.
Oh, there you go.
I'll give.
The only thing I'm going to say, Pete or Johnny, on that one is that when I told you everything and where it is, I didn't tell you how I got there.
Okay.
I didn't tell you that I had to interact with the mirror or anything. All I told you is that I found the mirror in the spirit, went through it, and found the tumor. And it's not. And I just want to clarify this because it would have been part of his inflection, if you will, when retelling the story. It had nothing to do with not trusting anybody. It had everything to do with trying to protect you guys from whatever tried to kill him. It's more of him being like, hey, this almost killed me, and I'm built for war, and I'm built to take this kind of stuff. So, no, that's a bad Johnny.
Fair enough.
Okay, so
I got one success on that one.
Yeah. From what happened there, you think it's because it's a thin point in reality. You don't know where it's a thin point to, but it is suffused with energies, possibly from whatever Thornbreaker saw there being incinerated over and over again. It's literally warped the local reality. So while it's not a locus, it is a thin point, a stepping stone. Possibly it is closer to wherever the hell you sprung back from than regular reality. You can't really know for sure the exact occult mechanics of what went down without a lot more study, time, and thought. But it may be that it needed a weak or soft point, a place of power like that, rather than a locus. It drained essence from cinders, it drained essence from the totem, so it was getting essence. It didn't need fuel, it needed a grip, if you like.
It needed a doorway, but not a locus doorway, because
correct.
The spirits like us can tell when they're near a locus, right?
Yes.
So basically, they would have ripped out and noticed the locust in the glass, in the nest, in the glassworks, and if that was essence and a point over to the spirit that they needed, that's where they would have gone.
Exactly, and they passed through it because you were in the shadow when you were possessed. They crossed over to the flesh.
Okay, so I'm actually going to, since I did find something, and I did find something that I find of interest, I am going to mention that I have a hinkering that this is a crossover point or a thin point between the real world and some other world, but not the spirit world. And I'm going to mention my hinkering of, hey, there's a reason that Kestrel, we came through from the spirit world, went here, and then he jumped again. Like, he jumped somewhere, and maybe we're worrying about something that's not coming back here. Because whatever it was may have been bound to the real, and through the real bound to the spirit, and may not want to take that risk again, thinking that whatever was here that bound him can bind him again. And we may be worrying about something that may not come to pass. Again, just thoughts, no, and he's going to say that, like, this isn't part of my research. This is my kind of feeling on everything, and kind of just what happened and where I was.
Johnny agrees mostly. The only reason he's taking such an interest in it for himself is that his tribal totems literally he feels like it's screaming at him to protect this place. So
Thornbreaker says that I'm less worried about what may come out of here and more intrigued by what we might be able to use this place to do. Whatever this dark spirit is that's holding Loons captive, maybe this place of ritual can provide us with a weapon to deal with it in some way.
Agreed.
What also helps is there were a number of avian drawings around the barrow after I dug it up. So perhaps it was also important to birds, or a call to worship birds, or whatever. It might be another reason why the Kestrel specifically chose this place.
I think it had more to do with where it leads to and less to do with what it symbolizes.
Could be both.
True.
Spirits draw power from iconography, don't they?
Yes, but I mean, think about what it did to some of the other spirits. I don't think power was an issue. Chris, real quick, it didn't drain any essence from me while it was riding me, did it?
No.
Okay, why would that be?
It may not have been able to. Spirits can't generally just take from werewolves unless they have a specific numen.
Remember?
Oh, okay, they can't, even if it's riding me, it couldn't, like, devour my essence through me?
It's important to remember that not everything boils down to power. No matter how strong a spirit is, they're still bound by bans and rules, and there are, as simple as it is, the greatest spirit in existence can still be cowed by a bell. It's the very odd and very specific bans and rules that bind spirits.
Right.
All right. If we got enough information, do we want to jaunt on over up there before we have to hit the town?
Fine.
Let me get my tools.
Okay.
I get my tools.
I look at the group real quick. Just bear in mind, guys, for tonight, just because we may not have time before, depending on what fuckery we get involved in here, we may not have time to talk again before we have to meet at the club. Johnny, you and I have to do our best to pretend to have a good buzz on. The boys don't know. They're not going to know. They're part of our cover.
So I was going to
Martha, Thornbreaker. I'm sorry, Harmonious Flame, Thornbreaker. You guys, if you want to play the quote unquote chaperones or whatever, or the we're out of place because we're too old for this place role, by all means, have at it. You guys don't have to pretend. But Johnny, you and I being a little younger, being there with the boys, I'm bringing you in as guys of being a friend or something. We'll need to just keep up the charade a little bit.
So, FYI, Johnny's going to keep a very low profile. By the time your night's done, your friends might not remember Johnny very well.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know.
All right, cool. Let's go get into some trouble.
Okay, so sun is heading towards the horizon. Wind is blowing a few tousled clouds across the sky. It's chilly, but not unpleasantly so, as you trudge back up to the top once again. And you can still smell in there. You can smell the freshly turned earth that Johnny's dug up. You can still smell the lingering splatters of blood from Stormbringer's self-excision. But at least it's damped down a bit until you get into the burrow proper. It's the same situation as it was before. It's cramped, it's low, except now when you get to the end of it, at the sort of the crux of the end, there is a big pit with a lot of earth shoved into the side alcoves as Johnny's dug down, making a sort of slight ramping down to the bottom where this unadorned stone, slightly concave, basically stone, rough, irregular stone slab is down there.
I'm going to give Johnny a dirty look only because Stormbringer, having been a Boy Scout, the whole leave no trace thing, totally didn't remember to fill in his hole.
I'm not recovering a sacred place, my man.
My man, if
sacred.
somebody else accidentally stumbled in here, now they found something that we don't want them knowing.
I kill him.
You can't.
I just killed him.
I look at him. We're having this argument in the barrel, by the way. I look at him. Did she, and I point at Harmonious Flame, not say that we specifically can't just go around killing people?
I'd have killed
Did
him.
Did they violate my tribal oath? Did they disturb a sacred place? Yes, I will kill them, and I will.
Did
hide
you
the body.
leave the sacred place open for them to accidentally find? Yes, your fault. Take responsibility.
Right, and I'll kill him.
I'm with Johnny on this
Better
one.
way would be to find a ritual or a gift that would repel people we don't want from this area.
As I say, Stormbreaker literally face palms at the two of them. Like, oh my god, why am I the voice of like responsibility here? What the hell is going on?
Because this doesn't concern your tribal oath. If it did, we'd be in exact opposite situations when you wanted to kill acclaimed.
That has nothing to do with this, sir.
Chris, while we're down here, Johnny's gonna flare his purity renown, but he's not flaring his purity renown as a challenge.
You can only flare it. You flare it or you don't.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to flare it to see if I could resonate it with the.
Then that's a
barrel
full
mount.
flare. You don't have to challenge others, but you will get
Yeah,
the purity
I'll
effect
find it.
doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Johnny's hide flares with purity. So a few bits of detail. So if you come in as
With
you
purity?
go as you go into the pit,
It's how I got my purity renown last time I was here.
the air,
Gotcha.
you can hear like a slightly almost a twittering or squeaking noise in the air, not like made from throats, but like a discordant noise. You know, the kind of thing if you go into a science lab and something's doing some really high-end kind of experiments and they make strange fluctuation, strange noises of things vibrating at weird elements. It's like that. There is something in the air that is shivering and making a strange threads of noise. They are not meaningful. They're not words. They are simply from the air, down by the pit. You're not quite sure what they are. The air feels thin here, as Johnny's noted before. You feel an odd sense in your gut, like you're, a bit like imagine if you're standing on the threshold of a huge drop and you look down, you go, whoa, it's a sensation a bit like that, but there's nowhere to fall to. The other thing that all of you are getting, absolutely getting, is this sense, this half-formed sense of purpose. Something sparking in your soul and in your spirit and in your essence, as if the tiniest embers of a fire that would blaze under some situation that isn't present. The closest thing I can ascribe it to is when you call the sacred hunt with the rite, the power of the sacred hunt fills you and gives you purpose and intent. You know you are on the hunt to bring down the prey, and you feel empowered to do that. It's a little like that, but it's not quite kicking into the full power of the sacred hunt. Like you're catching the lingering edge of something that should make that catch light in your soul, but isn't. There's just not enough here to do it. So there's a sense of power, a sense of being an edge between somewhere else. Even though, again, this is not a locus. There's no crossing. There's no spiritual crossing point here. There is a sense of there's this noise and a sense in your soul. The other thing is when Johnny comes down with his purity renounced blaring, they shimmer slightly oddly on his skin. And Johnny, while there is no particular strange effect kicking off, your tribal bond to Black Wolf is resonating. Not with a sense of this is a place of Black Wolves per se, or that this is a place of hunter and darkness-ness, but rather opening the channel in your soul that resonates most strongly with the hunter in darkness nature, with the renown, opening up is allowing that clearer message to come down the tribal bond. This is a sacred place and should be protected. It is a sacred place for the Forsaken. It's not a tribal thing, but because your tribal concern, your oath relates to sacred places, the tribal bond is resonating more with your flared renown to say this is a sacred place. You're not still getting any explanation of that coming down here, but that is very much what you're feeling.
Chris, so I know normally we can peer. Sorry, Pete. Second.
I was just.
I know we can normally peer across the veil.
Yep.
Because of my connection to the place, with the Kestrel using me as a kind of a gateway into wherever it went. Is there a roll I can make to try and peer across that and just see what it is that I'm looking? Not trying to discern anything else, just trying to get a nature for what it is that this is connected to.
Right. I will give you a wits plus occult roll.
I got one success.
Okay. You try and peer through wherever this leads. It's hard because you're trying to turn your innate instincts, your innate capability to look across the gauntlet to a different purpose. And in fact, that's initially what you do, is you try and focus and you see the other side overlaid over the real world. The shadow here is strange. There is soot and still glowing embers down here, buried beneath you. You are literally in the flesh of the shadow's earth itself. You know, in the shadow there is no pit, but down here you get the faint impression of smoke, fire, and darkness. You withdraw your senses and try and push through perpendicular to the shadow to see where this other place goes. Every time you try that, you can't get through to anything meaningful, but the strange wittering in the air around you seems to start, every time you do it, that seems to resolve slightly into something that's less weird squeaking and more like chords of sound. It clarifies slightly, and you get an impression. You also feel like you could almost push in a direction, like with a locust, you could almost push in a direction that isn't here, but you can't quite do it. There is definitely an aperture or a space. There's a gateway here to somewhere that this sound is coming from. And as you push into it, the sound clarifies, but you can't get purchase on it at all. You can't pull yourself in. It's tantalizing because you almost feel like you could, but you know, it just won't quite give.
Okay, so since I have really, and I'm being 100% honest here, Stormbreaker has no other major interest aside from calling his touchstone when the time comes, when the guys are ready for it. Can I take an extended action to try and tune into whatever it is?
I'll give you another roll on it then once the others have done whatever they're going to do.
Okay, yeah, he's almost. I would almost say once he's had his argument with Johnny, he's going to go sit or hunch down in the corner away from everybody else where he can get quiet and really kind of just try to tune in. If he's got a pair of headphones, I'm assuming he owns a pair of headphones. Everybody these days does. He's actually going to put those in to kind of amplify the silence. They're not plugged into anything. I don't want to, I don't know if it really would affect anything, but he's a little. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, he's a little bit. I don't want to say conspiracy theorist, but he worries that electrical signals interfere with the spirit and interfere with other things and mess with those things. So they're not plugged in, they're not turned on or anything. He's just using them as almost like earplugs instead to try and amplify that silence and be able to really feel and get into tune with whatever that sound is and what have you.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So we'll get back to Stormbringer then once we've gone over what the others are doing while pottering around here.
So Johnny mutters on it under his breath, "Fucker," and I'm gonna go look for the coloplexy. He says.
Okay, so you're heading back down to the estate.
Yeah, Chris, so you know, I want it to teach me the gift of warding.
Okay. And Harmonious Flame and Thornbreaker.
Flame is delighted to be here. And she spreads all her archaeology tools and basically goes layer by layer, matching Thornbreaker's vision to which bits of the earth have been dug out. So like there's the layer that the archaeologists got to, that you said that there was a pile of bodies, and so I pointed that, and then
So the layer of the archaeologists, you are not seeing. So the bodies were interred in the barrow mound, right? You've gone way beyond that. So there's ash. Notably, the bodies entailed in this barrow mound don't match up to anything to do with Thornbreaker's vision of being buried in bodies. That, from what Thornbreaker said, is more like an open burial pit. They just chucked a pile of bodies in a pit, and this guy was frantically trying to cover them up. This is different, and the pit doesn't really dig into any of the burial areas. It goes down through some layers of ash and eventually comes down to the ashen layers over the fire itself. But poking out, and once Thornbreaker is able to look on it, you know this is absolutely. It looks a bit different because it's been buried for thousands of years, but it is absolutely the same stone that. Well, initially there wasn't. Initially it was just the place, but after about the fourth or fifth time, it looks like they laid down some stones for the fire pit, and then one of them became key for some reason, and was then the center of the ongoing flames. And this stone absolutely matches what Thornbreaker saw.
Okay, then try to uncover it carefully.
Yeah.
More carefully than someone with claws. And just do archaeology on it. I don't know anything about archaeology apart from Time Team, so
It's a big old stone that was used essentially as the bowl for a fire repeatedly. So it's been fire damaged, as you would expect. It appears to have been it's not smoothly concave. It appears to have been naturally. They found a big slab that was roughly concave or a stone, and they chipped away and rolled it over here and put it down. It's not been artfully worked. It is scratched with first tongue glyphs around the edges. Someone has literally scratched the stone, but they are not. Sorry, the glyphs are beyond reading at this point. They've just been so damaged by time and the environment, and the earth. And even then, they don't look like they were messages. They may have just been more invocations of some sort. Like purity or fire or something. It has no innate power. It is not a fetish. It is not imbued with any spiritual power. It is not a locus. It may once have been a locus, but it is not now. It does appear to be the epicenter of this tingling, sparking sense of purpose. But in the one thing is, it's over a meter wide, probably a meter and a half wide. Again, it's not quite regular. It's quite big, and that means it's very heavy. And getting it out of this pit is going to be an absolute bastard. It's too big to fit out of the barrow. You would need to carve a hole into the barrow down here. Plus, given what Thornbreaker said, is it the stone that is sacred or the location? If you move it, it'll be sacred.
Sorry, can I make a wits plus occult roll? I want to see if there's resonance that... Basically, I want to see if this goes back to the first prophetic dream I had in this story. That what may have been a cover of some sort, if maybe it's sort of the inversion of this bowl, that somehow this may be the location where I saw the Dalu that was struggling maybe, or where they're trying to keep things in or take things out, whatever the case may be. Would that be a wits plus occult roll?
You can certainly make one.
Two successes.
Okay, you don't know.
Okay.
Inconveniently, there are certainly resonances, symbolic links with what you saw, this cauldron lid and this. Perhaps the closest thing you can think of probably is that they are reflections. In that this is as if like the bottom of an old cauldron used to burn away foulness and disruption of a very specific kind. What you saw being burned in it was not metaphorical. The werewolves really did wrestle, writhing, screaming things of alien blackness. But in the same way that this place was once tended to and kept pure and cleansed, systematically and controlled, the figure in your dream was pressing down a lid of something that was boiling over. So rather than, if you like, working from the bottom up, it was more a case of this land or this place is so seething with shit that's gone wrong that it's bubbling up, and anyone trying to keep a lid on it in that respect is just trying to keep a lid on it. They're just pressing down and fighting a battle against a boiling cauldron of horribleness, whether they feel they're successful or not. Whereas this symbolically represents a different approach. This is about not letting all the shit get in the cauldron in the first place. However, you don't think otherwise that they are directly connected, as that is this, if you know what I mean?
Sure. That's potentially helpful.
Can I do an occult roll for werewolf archaeology?
Yes, what do you want to find out with that?
Stuff that we wouldn't normally find out from normal human archaeology method.
Yeah, like what?
Like, are there any spiritual residues, I don't know, left on the rock? Was the resonance of this place? What's on, does it have an impression on the spirit side? That kind of stuff.
Yes, that doesn't require rolls. You just look across the other side, and on the other side it is buried under the ground in the shadow, but there are flickering embers still here amidst the darkness. In terms of resonance, it's just been too long, but the resonance that is remaining is this strange resonance that's kicking your essence into gear and half-formed and not entirely there. You've already got that.
Thornbreaker's going to turn to Harmonious Flame and say, do you need more time, or should I have Stormbringer call Aruhiru?
Stay here for days, but
he nods.
I think at this point, I probably have enough.
He walks over to Stormbringer, who's crouched down with his headphones on, and he puts a hand on his shoulder.
All right. Sorry. So, Chris, do you want to do the tuning into the whatever roll first?
Yep, give me another of the same roll.
Okay. Any bonuses for an extended action, or I don't remember?
No, there are no bonuses in this one.
Okay. Another one success.
You're focusing, you're trying to push. At the end of the day, what you're finding is you can't do what you want to do here. It's just not within your current capabilities. How you would do it beyond this, you don't know. Maybe more time, maybe more study, maybe a lot more time and study. But sitting here and willing your way through isn't working. You can sense there is something otherworldly here. It's not of the shadow, and it's not really responding very well to you. The only thing that you get from that by focusing, blocking that, is when you try and press, when you try and use your natural abilities to go in this unnatural direction, going to wherever this is rather than the shadow, the thing you notice that, as I said, the noises start to resolve into something more like chords of sound rather than just whittering. With the most straining, with you really straining to the point you're about to get a headache, your brain and your essence is eddying in strange ways because you're trying to do something not normal with it. When you really press really hard, that then falls into the background, and the chords of sound are still there, but something else is underlying it. And the closest thing it feels like to a sad baby. It's suddenly very sad baby. And the closest thing it feels like is, or sounds like, is wind. Like a gust of air, a steady current, but you could almost feel it on your skin, but it's not there, if you know. But there is something there, like wind blowing.
Okay, cool. So when Thornbreaker touches his shoulder, Stormbreaker's eyes are going to kind of snap open. And he's going to look up at him and pull his headphones out. You need him?
Thornbreaker nods.
Okay, we will.
What role do you need there?
We're going to take a break now. We'll take our 5-minute bio break while we deal with rebellious children and get fresh drinks and things. And we're back in 5 minutes to pick up where we left off with the call to the Angel of War.
Fantastic. All right. In the meantime, guys, I know there's a bunch of you that are tuned in right now. Feel free to weigh in on the situation, ask any questions you might have, and once we get back from our brief intermission, we will answer your guys' questions and stuff before we start jumping right back into play. So we'll be right back. We are just waiting on the others to arrive back here. But Johnny and I are here to answer any questions you might have.
Let me actually... I haven't been tuned into the stream, so you'll have to read some of them through me.
Sure. I know we've got some familiar faces here. We've got Optimus Prime, we've got Shara, Ferret, Interiority. Always good to see all of you. What else do we have here? Nice. Hope you are all enjoying your weekend so far. Looks like Molly was creating a traffic jam over there.
Seriously. Oh. I don't want to learn a gift.
What?
I said I don't want to learn this gift,
So
but
then
I
why are
should.
you doing it? You don't have to.
Yeah, but it's a good gift. Gift of warding.
Yeah.
Don't have to. Yeah, and then the maze ward portion of it specifically, and
Welcome back, Chris.
I apologise if you hear any wailing child in the background during our comms from now on. The 7-year-old is very upset that she did not get sprinkles on her ice cream in the time frame she wanted.
You monster!
And she is now closed herself in the bedroom and is leaning against the door, sobbing loudly and dramatically. To let us know how sad she is that she didn't get sprinkles on her ice cream.
in time.
This is a world-ending event. She is unable to cope.
I don't know, man. Life is hard when you're a little person, you know?
It is, and emotions can be very big and hard for small people to handle. I'm annoyed with her because we had an agreement which she did not stick to. And this has now, and then she made her little sister cry. And so she has given up her right to my sympathy on this particular matter. But she is now giving these very dramatic cries by the door.
You could always explain to her how the coloplexy deals with broken arrangements.
I don't think that would stop her crying. I think that would make her more upset.
Enhance it.
Then just lick your spoon.
Ag's just on her way back.
Yes. Oh,
Goodness.
Anyway, refueled with tea. And prepped and ready for the next step in your shenanigans.
ever prevalent shenanigans.
Okay, so we might have small child emergency moments going forward as well if they make each other cry further. Oh, we've lost Keith. Oh, we've gained Keith.
He said he has to drop in and out. His headset died.
Ah, okay.
I'm good now.
We have to mediate
Perfect.
between those two troublemakers.
Yeah, there it is the wailing time, apparently.
I apologize. For whatever reason, Discord was not jumping from the Bluetooth headset to the plug-in one because the Bluetooth one died because I forgot to charge them last night.
And as I was saying just now, I apologise to any listeners for wailing in the background as our 7-year-old dramatically cries for not getting sprinkles on her ice cream.
I have my own fan question to submit. This one is for Ag. Which is harder to wrangle, your small children or us?
Yes. The answer is yes.
Asking the hard question.
Close.
Well,
Difficult, but for very different reasons.
The pack are a lot more violent, probably less destructive than Molly, though.
She's
never
got
found a
that
book she didn't
destroyer
want to
blood.
Okay, so yes, getting back to it then, we return to the pack as they gather on with the sun shortly set beneath the horizon. The sky is a beautiful mixed gold red, and night has officially fallen. So the background noises. The 18-month-old is now trying to smack her way through the door that the 7-year-old has closed and is crying behind. There is a small war going on over the door now. Really? And she was trying to bash through it with the sprinkles that the elder sister did not get. I feel like there is... Give them here. No, she will not give up the unicorn sprinkles. They are hers and hers alone. So, Stormbringer, how would you plan to call down Ira? I can't remember the bloody name.
All right. So normally I call him by howling at him, right?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so glad I got out of earshot for this.
Out of earshot.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You left.
It's still my moon, buddy.
Fantastic.
Oh God, yes. Okay, so you go and hide yourself away somewhere.
Well, I mean, I guess I could call him by beating on my chest and yell and scream, yelling out a war cry rather than a howl.
I mean, if you make me fall into Wasuim, I get to resolve my condition. I get to resolve symbolic focus and earn a beat. But then I'm
come back. Let's do this, boy.
Nope.
It's cool. If
Fight
you
the
go
big
into
bad
Death
wolf.
Rage, I can always bring you back.
But then that's your once per
No, I
chapter to
wanna
bring someone
fight
out of Death Rage.
We might need it later.
Yeah, I want to fight him. Come fight the big bad wolf.
Okay. So
I'll
Johnny,
beat Johnny
you
in this
squirreling
position.
yourself away somewhere then.
Yeah, I went to go find the Coloplex.
You went to go find the Colopexia. Okay. So Stormbringer, then you're going to try and call the spirit down. Give me a presence plus expression roll, please.
I really got to invest some points in some of these attributes, man. They are hamstringing me something fierce. I feel like everything that's not fighting, I get 3 dice, and that's it.
That's it.
And yet those 3 dice always seem to pull through for me. That is 2 successes,
They
sir.
do.
Once again,
call to the
I should never
moonlit-
have been a Rahu. I should have been, what's the one that the Ethour, the mystical one? Should have been one of them, man. I screwed up this character bad.
You call to the fleshed sky. Obviously, it's not moonlit because it's a new moon. Only the slightest sliver of silver to its touch of one edge. You howl. You call. You are in the flesh, so obviously your ability to call to spirit is sort of limited here. But on the other hand, you're not sure about getting here in the shadow in the meantime. You wait a while. For a little while, nothing happens, but that's not that unusual. And for most people just trying to call to a loon in the middle of nowhere wouldn't have any effect. This particular loon is bonded more closely to you. It's more your brother, as it were. But even so, you are calling in the flesh. It's a bit of a tall order for him to turn up. Nevertheless, after about 15 minutes since your call, you see in twilight a silver, in fact, pretty much just appears. In the air folds and bends with what tiny fragments of moonlight there are from the very latest of the new moon, and sort of flexing, not crossing the gauntlet, but you're not quite sure how loons move around sometimes when it's obviously already crossed the gauntlet. There's a twisting shiver in twilight of moonlight that coalesces into the Rahalunum. More specifically, it coalesces into a blade that slams down into the ground. It is not materialized, so it digs into where the ground is, but it doesn't make real contact. And from that unfolds the canine form and features of the Rahalunum in winged form from silver light. It's clutching the blade that it is manifested from. All of you can see it fine because it's in twilight. It's not manifested at all, but you're well.
Is it Aruhiru or no?
It is. It turns, looks at you in a kind of not wide-eyed kind of way so much as there is urgency in your touchstone's expression, in the spirit's expression, as it looks at you and says I'm not going to shout down thinking I don't want to make Molly cry again like last time. It looks at you and goes, Brother, they will be coming.
Who do you speak of?
The foe.
Who is our foe?
The ones who serve the ones who serve the thing that wallows here beneath outside of Luna's sight. I have had to come here through the ways and roads of the shadow where they meet the flesh. They will have traced my passage to get here.
So
Will
something's
not
coming
take
for us.
kindly. Yes, they know they are coming for me. Nevertheless, I have come to heed your call. We have a little time before they arrive. What do you need?
I turn to Thornbreaker, and at the same time, I'm going to turn to Marta. A small, quick sidebar: is there any way I can jump across to help him because I am not getting him in trouble?
He's here in Twilight with you, and you don't have a way of entering Twilight.
But I can't affect Twilight, right?
It depends on what. Generally, not easily unless you've got the relevant Bane.
Shite, which I don't have.
Can I also just say every time Aruhiru shows up, I feel like it's Hulkamania time.
Oh yes, brother!
Brother!
What you gonna do when Aruhiru runs wild on you?
Tell me what you need.
I love how he's always so intense, and Stormbreaker's like, "Yep, all right, cool." I really have to start getting more jacked up when he shows up and just play him like he's on like a steroid high for like an hour after
We're
speaking with him.
pumping weights when he's there.
Dude, I said it before and I'll say it again. He's basically a soccer hooligan.
He's a rugby hooligan. Get it right.
Oh, God.
Why have you called me? What do you need?
I have a request and a question.
Get on with it then.
Stormbreaker, you're a Kahalit. Do this, Pete.
Sure.
Do this thing.
There are two reasons we called you Great Rahalunim. The first is we wanted to see if you feel the resonance of this place as deeply as we do, and if you could provide any insight to us as to why it's here.
It looks down, not at you, but in the direction of where the stone is. Obviously, you can't see it directly, but it sort of senses something. It looks down, frowns. Long before my light was cast on the world, yes, this was a place of meaning. There is a hole in the sky over the Black Land. It is harder for the Queen to witness all that takes place here. Nevertheless, the faithful did her work. Yes, and when things snuck past, when intruders, interlopers crossed the stride and came here, they hunted them down, their children, your forebears, her children with the great predator, and destroyed them here. To make a beacon that Luna could witness and see, to know that her work was done. But something else here has woken this past moon. Something new is rising in this dark place, over the black swathe.
Stormbringer can't help but look a little guilty at that.
It has already taken some of my kin. Some of my kin have been pinned, taken. Longer, they have fallen on this land for many moons, taken once or twice here and there, snatched away, destroyed. My kin, my sisters, my brothers, my siblings, taken from me. But it is woken again or hungry. I do not understand. The presence is stronger or more focused.
Is it like one of those things our ancestors used to hunt?
No, I do not know. I know a predator is here, but I do not know the truth of its nature. A predator of my kind, and I am a warrior of the moon. It is not right to feel fear. No, that is the matter of the gibbous moon, to know fear. Not mine. Yet I do.
followers that are hunting you?
I believe so. The foe were mustering. As soon as I passed through into the flesh. They caught wind of me and gathered to seek my trail. Perhaps they'll try and bring me back as a trophy to whatever whatever Dark Master drives them. Perhaps they merely seek to feast upon my essence with their sickly manner. I intend to give them neither.
Stormbringer's going to kind of beat his chest and give a hoorah. And now totally wants to fight something.
The other reason we had Stormbringer ask you here is because we had hoped you would bear witness to the purity of myself and Harmonious Flame.
It is a poor moon for it, but then Luna sees little here anyway. I can do such if you are worthy, if you are of purity, if it is within your soul to be coaxed forth from your essence. I would prefer you do this beneath the full moon. But time is running out. This will have to suffice. I would know of your deeds that make you claim your purity. I would judge you, albeit hastily.
My devotion to my tribe is my claim to purity. I take my vows to Fenris very seriously. I refuse to offer any surrender I would not accept, and it has cost me. As recently I have lost face for refusing to stand down against the one known as Hawkhurst.
And you?
I have traveled far to honor the Oath of the Moon.
Sorry, small creature has come to say sorry for the tantrum and...
It's super distracting. And now she hurt herself. Anyway, I have traveled far to honor the Oath of the Moon. I have joined this pack. I have partaken in their hunt. I had more, but I forgot.
Womp womp.
Okay.
I have honored the territory, as is my tribal ban.
Okay. It examines you. Irohara is usually quite energized, but not twitchy. Stormbringer. Oh, I think we have a camera being shuffled sideways. No, they're not appearing. So Stormbringer, Irohara is energized, but he's not usually twitchy. At the moment, he's twitchy, like he's expecting a bomb to go off at any moment, enemies to crest the horizon, etc. But nonetheless, he sort of looks at you both slightly as if he's ready to fight. Not you, but he's on edge, even for a spirit. And then he says, in the light of the full moon, I might see the truth of of what you claim. In the light of the full moon, it would shine upon you and show your purity or your iniquity to me. Nevertheless, given the matter at hand, I will trust, he looks to Stormbringer, to the honor of my bold brother. Brother, do you say what they say is true?
He nods.
Then in your honor I shall bear that binding. She strides over to Thornbreaker, hefts the blade, settles a hand on Thornbreaker's shoulder. He's in twilight, so you don't feel anything, and then looks like he's about to ram the blade into Thornbreaker's guts, but essentially jabs it forward with surprising delicacy at the end and cuts up. Where he cuts, while there is no fleshly breaking of skin, you feel the pain as if you had been cut with a blade, and the blazing flame of your essence sculpting itself into new patterns as he cuts rivulets and currents into your soul. It's the least satisfying marking of renown you've ever had. Not because it isn't powerful, because it is, Not because it's weak, because while it is a minor form of marking, it's still a powerful, meaningful change. Because you are in the flesh, he is in twilight. It's not the full moon. As all these things are cascading together to make it a weak, hurried marking. And I suppose the question left in your mind is, do you really want the markings of your soul itself to be done in this hurried, ad hoc manner in a way that just doesn't feel quite right? And it done without ceremony. He nods, goes to slap you on the shoulder in a manful, spirit to hybrid way. You feel nothing because he's in twilight. Strides over to Harmonious Flame, does the same thing. Both of you gain 1 point of purity. You unlock a purity facet in any gift that you have currently immediately as well. So choose what you're unlocking if you want to choose that now. And then he's done. It's brutal, quick, efficient, and weirdly, although painful, bloodless. You get the feeling as well, Stormbringer, this probably isn't how he's supposed to do it, but to an extent he's doing it because you're his buddy, these are your allies, and he thinks he's about to get mobbed. And indeed, as he just finishes cutting Harmonious Flame's soul with this sword of moonlight, and steps back, and he looks not unhealthy, he looks weak. He's not in the full moon's light. He's shining within him in lambent light, but the light that should be on him isn't. He looks up as, cresting up the hill, you see, coming in twilight, the cavalcade of fear spirits. Johnny!
Are they being led by any fear spirits we know?
We'll get to that in a moment.
Okay.
Johnny, you went down to the orchard to try and find the Colopexy.
Yes.
Yeah, there you are among the trees in the flesh. Looking at them, they're small, they're thin, they're growing okay though. They're being tended all right by the pack and the staff as well. So you're definitely holding up your end of the bargain with the Colopexy.
I'm just looking at one of the flowers or whatever is supposed to be budding as I wait for the...
You wait, he's not appearing.
I call out his name.
Okay.
Caloplexy. I have need of your services. I'm willing to strike a bargain.
Give me a presence plus expression roll.
Okay. Do I? No, I don't have expression, do I? Of course I don't. Alright, I'm gonna willpower this. Do I get the benefit because it's in our pack territory? For the hunting ground, right?
Is that on expression? If it is, then yes. I think that's empathy, politics, and animal ken, not expression, though.
You might be right. I'm just double checking. Can't even remember the name of the condition. Oh, it's under the right, isn't it? Yep, you're correct. Okay. Willpower it is. Three successes, and
Okay.
the symbolic focus go off on that because it's an exceptional.
Yes,
success.
it does. Okay, so it's a what focus pings. You state that there is a moment, not quite, I'm going to say resentfully, but there is a moment where you feel like a long drawn out breath of reticence, and then the Colopexy appears, appearing from impossibly from behind a tree in twilight. The many horse heads lean out, peer at you with their rolling eyes, go, "Ah, it's you." It's a mite inconvenient dashing over here, but here we are.
I apologize. I'm in need of you to carve a gift into my flesh.
Are you now? Well, I'm very willing to give gifts, but you know what they say about gifts.
There must come a payment.
Oh, do they say that? How fantastically wonderful.
Teach me. Well, it doesn't really teach as much as it carves it into me. Carve into me the marks of the gift of warding.
You want to know about boundaries?
A nod.
Well, I've taught you matters of boundaries already. That little spot of magic that marks the edge of your claim.
No.
This is different. I don't want people approaching this particular location.
I could carve it out of you. Mark you. Bring forth what's in you. I'm a little loath to. Ooh, Keith, could you? We're getting a lot of background coming through you at that. It's all good.
Sorry.
It's fine. It's just a little distraction. I'm a little reticent.
Oh.
Well, you've done a lot for me, and I've done a lot for you. And I do like this little orchard. I wouldn't want to be blocked out of it.
It's not this orchard that I'm blocking. You have no worries
Not
about that.
now, but it could be in future. If our friendship ever sours, ever rots, ever falls from the tree.
All right. I'll give you my word that I won't use this gift to block you from this location.
Oh, very kind of you to do so. And something I would hold you to. Still, such a gift to give. I think it's a very I think it's a very wonderful gift to give. I think it's a great kindness for me to bestow on you such a thing. Coincidentally, speaking of claims and boundaries, I wonder if you could. I wonder if you would tender a generosity. You see, I have a friend. A friend, yes, best way to call it. Her, maybe. By how you think of such things.
Who is she?
I would like my friend to be protected. I would like your pack not to raise their jaws against her. If there are to be boundaries, there should be a boundary, shall we say, established there. You've already broken something of hers, and there will be clashes, I think, in future if boundary lines are not drawn.
Wait, what have we broken?
You took one of her playthings away, I think?
Are you talking about the flame guest?
No.
Who?
Oh.
I think it's the spirit. I know who it is. I think I know who it is. I gotta pull up my notes.
I think Thornbreaker, Dan might have figured out.
I think I have an idea of who it is, too.
Now I'm not asking for that plaything back, although she might want to negotiate for that. But I would ask that you hold back from harm to Mistress Tinblood.
Mistress Tinblood?
Oh, I don't think you've met her directly. It's possible that your friend Thornbreaker may have glimpsed her. I don't know whether he has, but you've certainly crossed her path in a way now by taking away her plaything.
Oh, is it Sally? Are we talking about Sally?
No.
Or whatever Dan named his spirit. I think it's the spirit we met, the first spirit we met there in the Chronicle. I forgot her name.
The lady in white.
Yes. The lady in white?
No. Mistress Tim. This is why boundaries are very important to set, especially given the overlap. She is a spirit of flitting red things with sharp jaws and avaricious eyes. Anyway, Mistress Tinblood is a friend of mine. I would say it would be a great generosity if you pledged on behalf of your pack to withhold violence from her. And perhaps I shall find my way to seeing this gift you seek carved in your flesh. It would be a fruitful crossover of generosities.
Who does she need protection from?
Well, you, I fear.
The only reason I'm reticent. Don't know what she's planning. I don't like this.
Our relationship is set upon strong roots and is growing vigorously and true, I would say. I have not lied to you, nor sought to deceive you, nor you I. I would not seek to poison the roots of our friendship. And take away from myself such a bountiful harvest as may one day come to us both. Nevertheless, the Tinblood is someone I would ask that you withhold from violence from.
God. Like, I don't feel like I've met her is the issue, so I know nothing about this. Full time. How desperate is Johnny for the gift of warding right now that he wants to protect that particular location? Alright, tribal vow is coming into play here, boys. Sorry.
I'm in agreement. You got my vote.
No, you don't agree to not kill a spirit until we know what the hell it is. Not for the whole pack.
There are ways aside from killing spirits to deal with them.
You make that agreement for yourself, not for all of us. Because I swear to God, if you come back and Jack finds out, Stormbringer finds out he can't hit something, he's going to hit you instead. Repeatedly.
You can imprison spirits. There's lots of things you can do without taking arms up against them. That's a very vague thing.
Plus, we have an Eladov to figure out how to weasel out of this agreement.
You know this.
No. You do not make decisions for the whole pack. You, sir, are not alpha.
Okay, I'm making a decision for the whole pack.
There we go, boy.
Okay, so there's going to be a fight later tonight. Awesome.
What was that?
What is Johnny's answer?
Fine.
Ah. How wonderful that our interests so align. Now, come here.
Walk over to the Caliplexi.
He looks at you. Looks you up and down. And then he punches you in the face. Given he's a 10-foot tall horseman, this would, if you were in the same frequency of existence, be an extremely brutal... not wake up, the opposite of wake up call. Instead, while you are not impacted by a physical strike, nevertheless, you are thrown flat on your back as your soul and essence basically crash through with a tidal wave as the spirit strides over you. Grins down at you with its horse heads and goes, I will teach you lessons of boundaries. I will teach you lessons of what is this and what is that and what lies between. And from that, maybe Wolf you'll be stronger. But for now, they call it beating the bounds for a reason. So the Colipex spiritually beats the shit out of you. And marks you with and from the bruising upon your soul and the welts of essence that rise up, you are marked with the gift of warding. You've gained the gift of warding, spend 3 XP because it's an affinity gift, and you gain one of the facets unlocked immediately.
I am picking up Maze Ward, which is the cunning facet.
Yep. Having given you a fucking drubbing, he offers you like a big hand to help you up. Then thinks, oh, that won't help because obviously he can't pick you up. And then goes,
I appreciate the gesture.
you should probably get back on your feet. He tilts his head, looks up towards the hilltop, scratches one of his horse heads, and the other's lol mad. He goes, because I think your friend up there is under attack. I
shift into Urshul and book it.
Up on the hillside, the three werewolves up there with the Rahalunim, the cavalcade coming up from out the trees, they are fear spirits from the town, you think. They are these lamplit eyes, things of inky darkness and somewhat humanoid, sometimes somewhat animalistic shapes. They are all, without exception, they have these horned, grotesque masks sort of imprinted on their faces. Most of them are humanoid or small animalistic things. Some of them are weird, thrashing bundles of more conceptual fear that is not really so anchored to a shape. There are a couple of larger ones that are slovenly slumping up in the wake of their smaller brethren. And when I say larger, I mean the smaller ones are still animal or human-sized. These things are bigger. We're talking van-sized things coming up the hillside through twilight. They are moving through the fleshly things in the way. They are a collection of different kinds of fears, and that is imprinted in their flesh. Some of them are visceral, some of them are... but the most common form of fear among them is this bubbling in their skin that suggests something. The faces that sometimes rise out of their flesh are woeful, but it's not simple sorrow. They look horrified, they look gasping. These things surrounding them is a miasma of something in the air that just touches your werewolf senses, even through twilight, of maybe not self-loathing exactly, but something sickly in the soul. It is a fear, but it is a fear curdled into something maybe self-destructive. It's not unnatural for spirits, but whatever fear these spirits are, it's mostly coalesced around one kind. You do not see creeping dread or heart-in-throat shapes among the cavalcade. They are approaching at a steady rate. They are all in twilight. There's about 13 or 14 of them.
Oh, that's way too much.
The Rahalunim stands proud on the not really moonlit hilltop, blade ready. It's a curved blade of the full moon ready, and says, "Brother, sadly, I fear I shall lose this battle."
You need to go.
Okay, how in God's name do I cross over to help him? There's got to be something. Nothing. No way of affecting this.
I have no answers for you. I don't know if the pack do.
Is there a roll I can make that might hit me on one of these things?
Oh wait, but our claws can hit things in twilight, right?
Okay, so the different things that can hit things in twilight. If you are 2 ranks above a spirit in terms of your honorary rank, you can hit that spirit even if they're in twilight. I do not believe any of you are rank 3 technically. I can't remember how many dots you need to be rank 3.
I'm rank 2, I think. With 5.
No,
I think you're all rank 2. So
I used to be rank 3, but then
yes, you burned your symbolic focus just now. The only person who might be able to shift that is if Harmony's Flame took Predator's Claim with her warding check, which would pump her up by 2. That would only allow her to hit spirits of rank 2 or below those. So if any of those are rank 3, it wouldn't help. Point number 2, Bone Shadow Sacred Hunt will do it. We don't have that, unfortunately. Point number 3, Banes. The Banes of these spirits would do it. Sadly, you don't have Nithar who can look at them and go, the bane of this thing is. But if you knew what their bane was, then you would be able to go, right, the bane is this. What else would there be? So some fetish weapons and things like that can be made that will hurt things in twilight. There are a few gifts around the fringes of edges of stuff that can help with things like that, like Predator's Claim, symbolic for getting the symbolic focus condition. But when they're in twilight, the principal way are banes and things like that. They're really spirits in twilight are fuckers to stop, basically.
Yep. All right.
Do the rules apply both ways? Can they also not They can't attack us from Twilight
no,
unless they have special
not necessarily.
fiddly bits?
They cannot, if they are in Twilight and they are not materialized, they cannot hit you. But they may have supernatural powers that they can use from Twilight.
But if they materialize, we can then hit them.
Yes.
But
Okay.
they would know that.
Okay. Stormbringer is going to. What is it? What, Chris? What would the appropriate roll be to howl? I'm assuming the storm is still going on.
Okay.
Because I got the 10-hour roll. It hasn't been 10 hours.
Oh yes, in fact, it should have been raining this whole time. Sorry, I forgot about that because you invoked the storm earlier. Yes,
Okay.
in fact, sorry, retcon. It has been raining this whole time, and it's cloudy, so it is still raining and cloudy.
Okay. What is the roll to call to try and howl to a spirit on the other side?
There isn't really one. You can make the howl if you want. The chance of it being picked up are very low from the flesh. They might pick it up because you invoked the Heavens Unleashed gift originally, but generally, and you're not. The other thing is you're not in a place that's thin to the shadow. You're in a place that's thin to somewhere else.
Right. No, the reason I'm asking is because I'm assuming I called the storm. There's a lot of storm spirits in the area now. Because I do so much work with storm spirits, I was going to kind of call them to see if they can help cover the retreat of.
They are very unlikely to hear you from unless
hero.
they happen to be looking across the gauntlet at the time, which was the same thing when you originally called them at the locust when you got the thing to lightning strike the tree. Unless they happen to be looking across the time, they won't hear you.
Well, there's nothing wrong with trying. What's the roll for that?
Just make me a presence plus expression roll.
I can help get their attention. If you express your desire to get the attention of the storm spirits, I can help.
Yes, I will say the storm is here. Storm spirits are here.
Okay.
Maybe they will help cover his retreat. If not, enter combat with them.
In that case, I will use War Howl, which gets the attention of spirits on the other side of the gauntlet. Let me see here. It's going to cost me an essence. It's going to give us all +1 lethal damage to brawn weaponry attacks. Let me just see what the roll is here.
That is, that's actually different. It's War Cry is the one that makes curious scenes of spirits appear. It's the merit that gets spirits' attention.
Yeah, I have that too. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. All right. So War Cry.
So it doesn't cost you essence then, because it's merit?
It does not cost him essence, but it doesn't give you the bonus to things. It debuffs enemies, I think.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yes.
But it also will make curious spirits arrive on the scene within 3 turns.
Nice. Okay. All right. I will.
Not the 2 friends, but some spirits in the area will turn up.
Yeah, I just figured there's a storm going on. It helps his chances. All right, presence plus expression. I have to roll. One success.
Okay. Right. Let's have a quick look. What's the purpose faces? Life. Okay. You howl. Obviously, what did we get on the? Let's have a look. So, Stormbringer. Has
Did not roll
Stormbringer
yet.
rolled his? Okay, you make your roll.
2 successes.
Okay.
Oh no, I don't
You
like
howl.
that.
A call of help to you call to the storm spirits. There is no immediate response. The storm is still coming down. You don't see anything appearing in twilight around you or anything, and even, they would have to be strong enough to gauntlet breach to do that. The cavalcade of fierce spirits continue to approach as the Rahalunim stands, defiantly atop the hill by the barrow. Thornbreaker lends his voice to the chorus with a bone-shuddering cry that would terrify you if you were his enemy, and thankfully you're not. And you think ripples in strange frequencies that are going to flow into the gauntlet and the shadow, and maybe that will attract something. Again, there's nothing immediate. Johnny, you are racing up the hill.
Oh, God.
And what was your death rage trigger again?
Hearing a werewolf howl during my moon.
Your moon is up in the sky. Your pack is in danger. There is a cavalcade of fierce spirits going up there. Things are about to kick off, and you have had your death rage trigger pressed.
Rage.
Grr, arg.
Yes.
So, you are still a way off the scene unfolding on the top of the hill because you are racing up there. But you have just gone kabang into rage. You weren't in Garu,
Nope.
so that's not a problem, thankfully. You're not going straight into hard rage. So, you are slamming into soft rage. You are in... what form were you in?
Urshul.
Okay, so that's fine. You're still in Urshul. You are in Garu Rage mode, so as in you have to try and attack shit, but there's nothing to attack. You're literally just halfway up some fields, heading toward woodlands up the higher side of this hill. There is nothing. Thankfully, you are away from the cattle fields, so you're not about to go berserk in some farms. Although you could try and redirect yourself that way if you want. You can start trying to get control of yourself. It's going to be a resolve plus composure roll to get that to work. Each turn gives it, and if you how do you get out of it? I can't remember. There's a way to get out of it from recruitment.
I think I have to make an exceptional success on it, which is...
Yeah, if you roll an exceptional success. So basically, you can keep on rolling those to try and get yourself some breathing room. You have... If you fail, you will enter hard rage.
Hard rage.
And you have... What's your harmony?
7. I have a minute of control.
Yeah, minute, but you are in rage for it's primal urge, the period of time you're in rage for, isn't it?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to need some rolls for you at some point soon to see whether you go brah and go and kill some cattle, or if you manage to get your shit together and get up that hill.
Okay.
When you have heard this howl again, what's happened is you can barely see the tiniest bit of edge on the new moon on its last night. Your focus entirely rams up to it. The moon is the biggest thing in the sky. It feels like it's pressing down or pulling you up. Everything is distorted. Fury is rising up. The strange sparking you felt earlier, it's like the other side of that. Energy is kicked off in your soul, but now it is an uncontrolled bonfire lashing out, trying to vent the essence and power from within you. Back on the hilltop.
Hey, guys.
Well, you don't know that yet because you haven't seen your poor bastard friend.
Real quick,
Well,
Chris.
I mean, by letting the Ralunim stay down here rather than just leave before it marked that.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say right now, Chris, should Aruhiru perish, get discorporated, get captured, the Stormbringer is gonna death rage. You've killed his spirit touchstone, or at least
absolutely. If it's touchstone,
he's just gonna death rage. I don't know if that's part of the mechanic, but I'm putting it out there.
You have maybe half a minute before the fierce spirits get here.
Oh,
Something has appeared nearby on the hilltop. You didn't see quite where it came from. No, so somebody you would have seen something. For a moment, you think slightly unusually around a bunch of elves you wouldn't expect to come anywhere near. A rabbit has popped out because the hillside is marked in places with rabbit burrows. A rabbit emerges from one of them, sniffs the air, looks towards you, tilts its head at Thornbreaker, and you look at it for a moment, and then you realise it's slightly smouldering, like the tips of its fur are embers. And it steps forward and it starts to unfold as it moves forward from rabbit form up into something vaguely humanoid, smouldering flame. It's a mix of human with something rabbit-like about the face, but the head is a blazing, charred skull stepping forwards. It's entirely in twilight. And standing on the hill with you is Julish, one of the old three, who last time you were savagely shanking her physical form that she'd stolen.
Oh God!
She sort of looks at you, looks at this oncoming cavalcade of fear spirits, looks around her in slight confusion, looks back at you with these burned, charred flames and these charred eye sockets, and goes. This you get this moment of the spirits are clear, like what the fuck is going on here, and then goes, with a voice like crackling fire, but strangely soft at the same time. And it's crackling fire, but the rustling also of stems, of wind through a crop field of crops, goes, "You do get yourselves in trouble, don't you?"
Stormbreaker's just going to look at her with this kind of defeated look on his face and go, "Yep."
Masked one's coming up the hill en masse. What, to burn your little friend here? She steps forward. She's lanky as a spirit. The spirit form is too tall. Even the child, it's too tall compared to the Rahalunum, And she's space perspective distorts oddly around her. And she kind of plays that odd prod point at the Rahalunum, who looks offended at this spirit of flame and hair. And you're in a bit of trouble as well. Why don't you run? And Rahalunum goes, "I serve the moon beneath her boldest aspect. I'm a warrior."
I'm going to look at Aruyuru and bellow out, because now he's getting kind of angry. There is no dishonor and a tactical advance to the rear.
Give me a manipulation plus persuasion roll.
I'm advancing in the other direction.
Wadi was. Oh no.
Nope.
He shakes his head, goes, no, I cannot flee these scoundrels of fear and disdain.
I look at him and reiterate, it is not retreating. It is a tactical advance in the rearward direction.
Why don't you?
I'm sorry, I cut out
Is
there.
playing stopped, but then stopped because she's trying to think how to phrase it so that the Rahalunum will agree. Why don't you? Enter the Rahu's body to empower him in this fight. Enter the Rahu's body to empower him in his fight. Basically, I am asking the Rahalunum to ride Stormbreaker for protection. So the spirits will have
I'll
to
allow it.
Stormbreaker to get to the Rahalunum.
So
But then-
Rahalunum looks at Stormbreaker and goes, "But to enter the soul of one such as he, bound by the great jaws of Winterwolf, would surely be an insult to his tribal oath."
Thornbreaker steps forward and says, "Then ride me. I refuse to surrender also."
Okay, let me have a quick look at the Feta manifestation, see if this is going to be a suitable way out for him to basically...
Good thinking, Egg.
Hi.
Good thinking.
So the spirit looks almost like you've told him to, like, do something deeply unpleasant to himself.
He's already breaking the rules, marking us in a new mood.
If you're gonna break them in style.
Go big or go home.
Oh god.
So Chris, actually, I have a question for you. Because he is taking my opinion or my word that they are pure. Can I voluntarily take I want to call it a temporary hit to my purity, because I am kind of going against my oath to Winterwolf in telling him that there is no dishonor. There's additionally no dishonor in allying yourself with one more powerful or better equipped. And I'll take a temporary hit to anything that involves purity for that, because I am basically saying, go ahead and break Father Wolf's thing. Or
If you want him to fetter to you, that would be a breach. That would be a harmony break or harmony check.
Well, no, he's not going to ride me. I'm saying to ride Thornbreaker.
Yeah, if you're happy with that, I think that would. It's not technically a breach of your oath per se in terms of the weakness, but more that. Okay, if it's not going to be you, then that wouldn't be a problem. Essentially, it's just usually Stormlords aren't very happy with people riding with spirits riding and claiming. But if you think this is an acceptable emergency, then that is up to your judgment, and it won't have a direct impact on your spirituality.
I do.
Into it
I
to
think that
you,
is the best. I think that's the best.
it would be an effect. Okay, so
You know, you know what? Screw it. If he wants to merge with me, I'm kind of the one who called him here. I'm kind of the one who got him in trouble. So I'm gonna look at Thornbreaker. If anybody's getting him out of this mess, it'll be me.
We don't need a reputation as Oathbreakers. I can do this. Thornbreaker transforms into Urshul form and growls and bares his fangs at the advancing fear spirits.
okay, given you're not trying to manipulate, just give me a presence plus persuasion this time from Thornbreaker.
Okay. Presence plus manipulation, you said?
Persuasion.
Plus persuasion, right. And you said, would Voice of Glory apply?
Voice of Glory adds. Yes, it simply adds to persuasion.
Okay, so I'm going to...
As well for teamwork dice, because I was also...
No, I'm not going to allow teamwork on this particular. You did contribute as to that's why it's even happening, if you know what I mean. But the question is, can Thornbreaker basically persuade him that this is a totally there's something he wants to do, the spirit wants to do to him.
7. Okay, so I'm also going to spend my one available point of willpower to make it 10 dice. Let's go, boys.
Mm.
Two successes.
Okay, with the oncoming, he can see the spirits almost here. They're cresting through the nearest copse of woods. They're just coming straight through the trees. And the Rahalanim looks like it is having to do the equivalent of if you were, where you are chained to a radiator with a hacksaw, and the house is on fire, so you're going to saw your own arm off. He is not doing something that is it is not against his nature completely to do, but he is struggling with his nature to back down from this fight, and he turns to you, straight towards you again, hand out, and walks into you and simply vanishes. And you feel the kind of the heavy of something fettering onto your soul. It does not feel good.
Chris, since they did that, I'm going to shift to Urshul also, because now I'm assuming that if these spirits are going to try and fight, they're going to have to come into they're going to have to manifest, and I'm going to destroy them.
The spirits, moments later, the Dewlish, the flaming figure, looks at you. You are more interesting than I thought. And then the fierce spirits are on the hilltop. They crash up like a tidal wave of darkness, bright eyes, and these freaky masks, and they wash most the nearest. They are completely heedless of you. They are casting their lamplight gaze around like hounds trying to catch a scent. They are scouring this hilltop. Some pour into the barrow, but then they don't get too close to the end where you've dug the pit. Not that they're repelled with it, they just seem not eager to. They cascade around the place, they pass through trees. They almost don't seem to be paying you any attention. They can certainly see you because they're in twilight, but at first, well, they probably can, but they don't seem to be paying a lot of... They're not interested in you at first. But after they've cast around for about 15, 20 seconds, they stop. And then they start to pay much more attention to what's on the hilltop. A couple of things of note. First is that they are not silent. You can hear their twilight movement, but they are saying nothing. They are making no communication.
You said they're paying attention to what's on the hilltop, as in
now
us, or what's on the hilltop as in something else?
Everything. And now, having not found their prey, their quarry easily, they are now going, right, what the fuck is actually up here? Where is he hiding?
Can I throw a wits and composure to see if there's anything else here aside from us and the fear spirits perception roll?
Yes, you can. It's a regular perception. You're in Wolf, I think is +3. In your Urshul, it's +3 to that roll.
Yep. Two successes.
Okay, you start looking around. What else is up here? They are not just paying attention to you, though a number of them are, but they're doing stuff like It sounds absurd, but they're peeking behind and in stuff. So they're going. One of them goes to a small tree, a sapling, is like stroking it gently in twilight, and then tilting and trying to look at a strange angle underneath it. One of them is prodding tiny pebbles on the ground, as if trying to see what lies in the shadow of each pebble. And then some of them are examining you three with big lamplight eyes. Duelish strides forward, and the fear spirits, the smaller ones, basically break around her like a wave and move away. But she is examining them. The spirit of Flame and Hairs is looking closely at the masks on the spirits, and almost reaching out with one burning hand, one hair-like hand, to sort of. She looks like she's going to go and grab one of the masks, and it pulls back and skitters away from her. And then, only then, do you get there's a response to her from one of the bigger fear spirits. This van-sized thing that's a strange agglomeration of humanoid shapes, but with 2, maybe 3 lamplight eyes in it, interposes itself between her and the merely humanish sized spirits. It still makes no noise, but she's watching them with something akin to spiritual fascination. 1 second. But apart from that, you don't think there is anything else of note up here. Yes, what was it?
No, they prey on that big.
You're not broadcasting that.
No, they prey on the big blubbery spirit.
Okay.
The
Roll your
one with
dice.
the mask. Oh, I have to roll the dice. Right.
Just side note, boys, while this and gals, while this is going on, we're gonna have to make a pit stop back to the Locust because I'm giving the rest of my essence to Aruhiru as thanking him for allowing us to basically cover his ass, and so I'm going to be essence broke.
What'd you got? Okay, 2 successes. This is known as the first tongue name is they all know, and it has it has no merits, so you don't get any of the merit effects. But this spirit is known as 2 things: they all know. And it is also known as has another name, a fresher name, one imprinted. Oh shit! This effect kicks off, doesn't it? Fuck. Okay, hold on. This actually gives you more information. Firstly, you try and get the spirit's name, and you think the spirit is originally called They All Know, but it is mostly overlaid with another name, which is not its name, but somehow is at the same time. And that name is, if I can just fucking find it, where are you? Where did I put it? Where's the spirit's name? God, I can't find the fucking... Gjelden Eorth. It means sins buried deep. And that name is coming through from the mask, which is overwriting everything else about the spirit. The spirits are examining you all. One of them, the small first spirits, is examining Thornbreaker very closely, but it doesn't seem to be seeing what it's looking for. But they're flitting around you still, a couple of them, like moths around a lantern. Like they think maybe they've caught a trace of something, but they can't see where the spirit is exactly. You know if it's fettered, he's inside you, but he's in twilight. You don't know how effective that concealment is. If they start trying to shove themselves through you, they might spot him, they might not, you don't know, but they can't see him at the moment.
Side note for the guys and gals, the folks, the fellas, the pack. What would do? And Stormberger is going to kind of look at you like, should we tell them their quarry isn't here, and see if that works? Try to bluff them a little bit.
Thornbreaker just continues in Ursule form to bare his fangs, like he's ready for a fight.
You know what? Screw it. Why not?
Oh no.
Oh, in a menacing way. Although I'm not very menacing, so.
What's the roll, Chris, for a little intimidation here from the big guy?
You can make a presence plus intimidation roll. It will be at -5 because they are in a different phase of existence, and they are not concerned about you as a physical threat.
Got it. So it'd be a chance die. Nope, we're good.
Yeah, the problem is simply they are not in any threat from you as far as they're aware.
Can I make one with Voice of Glory applying?
Yes, you can. Because it adds to intimidation rolls in general, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
There's no limitation on that.
So I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 minus 5 becomes 3 dice.
At least you get some dice.
Yeah, it's something.
What is that called? Voice of Glory?
Yeah, it's
Caliph.
It's a Caliph. It's a Gibbous Moon gift.
Ah, damn it.
3 successes! Oh!
Nice.
Okay, so you growl and they pull back. They're not scared so much as they've heard it and they are being cautious. One of them continues to linger nearby you, but the other one peels away to go and look under some grass stems for their prey. The other one holds back, but is sort of watching you suspiciously and slightly warily. There is a slight reaction across the wider spirits to your growl. A few more of them pay you attention, but they don't come near you. They continue to search the thing. But they are taking it. They're a little bit on the back foot, a little bit more on edge. Maybe they've got the feeling that they shouldn't push it too far. They scour the top for a while, and then, without any apparent communication taking place between them, as one they pull back and retreat down the hill, back towards Galician. The spirit of fire and hairs follows them a short distance, with flaming footsteps in twilight behind her. Then she comes back onto the hilltop. She doesn't follow them. In the meantime, Johnny.
Yes.
Could you give me some Basim control rolls, please? Give me, say, 5 if you haven't managed to get an exceptional success or a failure by the end of that.
All right. Nope.
Was that straight?
Oh,
okay, bang, fail. That's hard rage with the first one. Then. So you are death raging. Okay, so then we'll get back to that then in a minute. So on the pack on the you see the fear spirits withdraw. And with a grotesque feeling in your soul, Thornbreaker, the fetid spirit unfetters himself from you, cracks the link, and the loon emerges, steps out of you. And he looks unwell after having merged with you like that. Like, really, that was not good. You still feel almost spiritually nauseous from that binding. The foe have gone. I have overstayed my welcome. I have overstayed my duty here. I must return. I request of you that I may use your doorway to the other side that lies at the heart of your lair. I must go forthwith.
Stormbringer's going to look at him, bite into his wrist.
No, hold
Take
back,
brother.
brother.
It will help you. It will help you on the journey.
No, my essence is already tainted by what I have done here. I dare not risk hybridity.
Understood.
You should keep it for your own battles. I am sure there will be many. And then he sort of corkscrews, twists through the air in a shiver of moonlight and begins to cascade off down the hill towards your territory. Looking down the hill towards your territory, you see down there is something in a field of cattle loping, and there is blood, and there is gore, as something, a death-raging werewolf, is expending its fury on a small field of cattle, which are loud lowing. You can now hear the panic. The moos are just about reaching you from the distance, as the werewolf is ripping apart a small a herd of cattle. It's in among and butchering them.
Have I not found this through the pack awareness bond?
No. Because
So-
did you buy pack awareness? Oh, you didn't mention that. I don't. Did you pay? Did you activate it at all? Did you tell me anything that's useful?
Oh,
No, I probably didn't.
Let me double check.
I thought it just activates itself.
I will check because depending on when you do it, that will tell you how long he's been raging for. Pack awareness. Oh, permanent general sense. What is your wisdom renown? Okay, 1. That's enough. So he will be within range. Okay, so actually, you would sense just as you turn down and you see something down there. You see a shape. You feel on the pack awareness bond your pack may enter death rage. You look down and see him springing into a field in Garu, and these panicked cattle going "Roar!" and trying to, race across the field away from it.
Range off. Can I turn his rage off through the pack awareness bond, or do I have to be close there?
I will just double check what the effect.
I'm only going to ask that you, and this is going to be an OG request, or OOG request. I'm going to ask that you don't and let us know instead, only because Stormbringer feels really kind of dirty right now. I just allowed one of my pack to be ridden, and he's feeling very unclean. And so stopping Johnny from letting the herd know will make him feel a little bit more like, his level of purity.
So the only thing you have to worry about is
him,
that
he broke his own.
Yep.
Death rage is contagious.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
We don't have enough ability to stop 2 death raging werewolves.
You can do it from here. You can see it. You're aware of him, so you can turn him. If you want to, you can turn him off. Obviously, or you can listen to what Keith's asked and just say,
"It's up to you,
mate. He's just leapt into the field. He's going to kill those cows and possibly any other hapless fucker in the area."
So
that was an out-of-game request, so you don't have to. If you don't want to do it, that's no indication on in-game that Stormbringer wants to stop this because he feels dirty.
And without a word.
Okay, well, in that case, I am just going to do it.
Yeah, Thornbreaker just looks at.
Oh no, Johnny's going.
Harmonious flame.
Flame just sort of goes. Oh no, I think that's Johnny that's raging there. Wait. Oh, not anymore.
Not anymore.
Okay, so you use your power. Johnny,
the calmness of the moon fed on you.
Yeah, you see the power of the moon slam down on you like a hammer from the sky. So you take the stun tilt. You basically face plant in Garu form in the cow in this muddy because it's been raining for hours. This field is saturated, so you basically do like a hit skid because Garu, you are moving fast and Garu are big.
I was hoping for this.
You mud surf for several meters. And then shrink back down to you're slammed back into Hishu form. So you come to cold, wet. Your clothing, everything. You are soaked head to toe in mud. And as you look up, now cows are vicious fuckers, right? Cows are not innocent little creatures of the countryside. The herd has sensed that the situation has turned. And as you pick yourself up and you look through blinking eyes, these cattle have gathered at the other end, and they are turning towards you, and they are starting to go. They are starting to come back towards you. And you can tell they are starting to pick up speed.
Okay, so Jack is going to. I guess we see him now in trouble as they are starting to stampede. Okay, Jack is going to bolt down the hill towards him. I'm in Urshul already.
Yep.
When do I have enough time to close the distance and throw out a howl before they get to him?
Don't howl again!
Or growl, I'm sorry, not howl.
Don't howl again!
I go into growl, not howl.
Okay, so it will be a strength plus athletics roll first to get there in time and in seed. Remember, you're an Urshul, so you're at +2 strength. Plus, you're getting an additional. What is your speed in Urshul?
So, just real quick, Chris, to remember, I'm not affected by any of the weather effects.
Yep. But what is your speed in Urshul?
Speed in Urshul is 17.
Okay, so it's strength plus athletics. Your strength is hard and normal in Urshul, plus 3 more dice.
Nice.
Oh, wait. Is this a foot chase roll, Chris? Because if he's within our territory, he gets a +2 bonus to it.
I'll give you the +2 bonus. It's not quite a foot chase, but okay.
Okay, so that would be a total of 6 successes.
Sure, nice.
So can I kind of just leap off the barrow in front of him with that many successes?
The barrow is right up the hill. The barrow's a long way away from where he is. He's still partway up the hill. You have to. It's like quite a race. You have to really run. You dash down off the hilltop, down through one field, flashing through a small sliver of woods that's between that field and the next, through the next field, slam over, there's a path between two fields, you just clear the whole fucking thing in one bound, land, and then you're coming down the field above where Johnny is, and you can see the cattle come thundering towards him through the mud. They're not getting quite the speed or traction that they would do if it hadn't been pissing it down, of course. And then you're slam straight through the hedge there and racing in, and you are there with time to spare, coming to a kind of skidding halt while Johnny's still like going, whoa, what the ever-loving shit. And Thornbreaker is there going, I feel sick because that spiritual connection with that loon in my soul was not good. And Harmonious Flame's going, good job, I turned off his death rage. Oh, there are cattle coming from it. You slam down, skid into the mud, doing a turning skid to position yourself between him and the herd.
And I'm going to let out a very loud growl. And Fangs bared like, I'm your predator, and you know it. And this is a terrible idea because I will kill all of you.
Yep. Give me presence plus intimidation. 1, 2, plus 3 bonus dice.
Oh.
2 successes.
Okay, you plant your feet and you snarl. And the cattle, being cattle, go, the fuck is that? And and start slow they don't quite come to a halt because they have to slow down in the wet mud, and they start they stumble though, and the whole herd kind of comes to a stop about 10 yards from you. All these cattle going moo, moo, moo. And then they just kind of turn and start to, as if they've kind of gone, we weren't here, Gav, and they start to turn and still watch, glancing back at you. These cattle kind of make their way back to the corner of the field they'd just been chased to by the death raging werewolf, and cram themselves up against the hedge as tight as they can, and just sit there in the corner of the field staring at you from the greatest distance they can possibly put between you and them.
How many cattle did Johnny kill?
He didn't, because Harmonious Flame interceded, he didn't actually get any.
Oh,
Because
good.
she has pack awareness now, so she knew the moment he death raged. She went, let me just turn that off.
I feel like Harmonious Flame now has a switchboard in front of her that she can just turn on and off her death rage as she pleases.
Pretty much, yeah.
She's like, oh, you're death raging. Okay, we'll take care of that for you. Click.
Yeah. You feel tired from using it. You feel spiritually like Harmonious Flame is tired from using that power. You can't just fan it out. But she has, presumably the pack are now beginning to gather up at the edge of this field with a slick Johnny.
I'm wiping mud off my face and...
There is another figure there. Julish, the flaming, burning mass of dead hairs and burned human, is hanging in twilight going, so... you have angered a spirit noble.
Spirit noble?
The one that masked those with its essence.
Is he the one who caused the spirit of Felicium to disappear?
I don't know what you're talking about. Matters of the glass nest, such conurbations bore me, except when they're on fire. And they're fun. That place isn't fun. I don't care about who rules it, but you've pissed somebody off. You've upset somebody. Their distaste for you certainly will be burning after this. You stole their prey away from them, or their little minions, all bearing their face. And they've gone to a great deal of effort to mark all those servitors. Smouldering away in there. Interesting to know something like that's there. I'll watch closely to see when the sparks you set catch you in the resulting inferno, no doubt. Or you burn it. One or the other.
So Stormberg's going to look at the spirit a little grumpy with everything that's going on. Everything that's going on in his history with this. He's going to look at the rabbit flaming spirit thing and just look at him and go, we burned you. And he's going to turn and start walking back towards the hall.
Did you? I don't recall that. I think I burned this one here. She's a prods ephemerally at Thornbreaker. But you did rip the host, the casing apart. Oh well, have fun.
Thornbreaker just watches Dewlish without any enmity. As he told her previously, it was nothing personal. He was just keeping the law.
She doesn't seem particularly bitter about it. She folds herself back down into this slightly smouldering rabbit form, glances back at Thornbreaker for just a moment, and goes, what would she say? Just looks at you for a moment in almost acknowledgement, and then is away into a crack in the earth nearby, beneath a tree, and vanishes.
Johnny is going to finish what he fully intended to start, and he just continues back towards the Barrow Mound.
Okay, and you're going to go up there and maze ward it, I assume.
I'm going to maze ward it.
I don't think there's a roll for that. I think it just works.
Yep.
Stormbringer Jack is going to take off back towards the hall. To make sure, and when I get there, I'm actually going to be peering over to kind of watch for Aruhiru the whole way.
Yeah.
And when I get there, I'm trying to outpace him because I'm in Urshul and I'm assuming I'm faster than him. I want to watch the way, and when I get there, I'm going to watch for him to cross over and get back.
He's there when you get there. Spirit speed is weird because it often doesn't massively correspond to what they look like or how they move. It also corresponds to things like how powerful they are. And Irohara is not massively powerful. So when you get there, he is there just ahead of you, but he's basically had to do the spiritual equivalent of stopping and taking breath. You pass through Locust. He's on the other side in the shadow. He's outside of the glass house fortress itself. But it's hovering, hanging in the air. His edges are dissipating, not in a discorporation way, but he's essentially turning into moonlight to return up above. And he looks at you and goes, I hope the panoply I have girded your fellows will be of use to you in your coming battle. But I must return to my sky. This place beneath this shrouded moon is not my place, let alone here. This landscape has long been hard for the Queen to see fully, so she has always relied on you and your kind to police it as best you can. But the hole in the sky, the broken hole in the sky here yawns particularly wide now. I must return to my Queen.
Indeed, brother. I will soon say. I will soon. Hold on a second. I'm trying to think of what I want to say. Soon we will have much to sing about in terms of the glory of our combat.
Call me beneath the full moon, yes, brother, and sing to me of your victories. Now I must go. Remember me. And he always turns into moonlight and stops to hurtle upwards.
So, while nobody's there, Stormbringer, I'm going to grab a piece of. So we can will a wound to stay open, right?
Sorry.
Can we will a wound to stay open?
Do you mean a locus?
No, a wound on herself.
A physical wound. Scarring. You can focus on slowing your regeneration around the point, but it's very inefficient, and you can't stop it. Obviously, you can slow it, but not stop it. Essentially, if you want a cool scar, you can get scars. You simply will it slow, and it will scar around the injury, and sometimes it scars anyway, even with the fast healing. What you can't do is stop yourself to have normal human healing. Right. So you go into a hospital and they're like, oh, it's just a human being. You just can't slow your body down that much. But if you want a cool scar, then that is certainly a valid thing to get.
No, never mind. We're good.
Okay. Okay, so we'll assume the pack gather back in the mansion again shortly afterwards. Thornbreaker's nausea having really lifted. Johnny presumably having come in like decanted clothes, gone in a shower.
Johnny's first picking up essence at the Locust because he just dropped 5 on that maze ward.
Okay. It's a new day. I can't remember if you chopped up the 6 or not.
We did not.
Okay, well, there's 6 in there.
I'm going to draw 4 of it.
Okay.
And
how much do you have, Johnny?
I had 2 after I did the maze ward.
Why don't you split it with Stormbringer because he's low also.
All right, I'll take 3.
I also have 2.
Oh, then
You
I
two
will
take it. I'm fine.
Okay, so 4 to Johnny, 2 to Flame then.
Stormbringer's feeling kind of not in
No,
touch
I'll take
right
3,
now
and then Flame can
with his
take
oath.
3, and then we'll
Okay.
both be at 5.
So you are gathered back up. Johnny, having de-filthed himself, probably not feeling great after the second death rage in a few nights. Harmonious Flame, you encountered a really interesting thing. You're feeling pretty okay, actually. Stormbringer, your interactions with your touchstone have restored 1 point of willpower to you.
Yay!
Oh, Chris, because I did something without my pack knowing, did my wallflower trigger? And was that good for...
Let me double check Wallflower. While I'm doing that, Thornbreaker, the bonding of the loon with you, however briefly, it was pretty fuckety. Can I please have a breaking point towards Spirit? It's a willpower check with a -1 penalty.
Sure. Willpower with a -1. Okay.
Doesn't he get bonus points for having a spirit touchstone? Though?
Yes, you get +2 for having a touchstone, so that's
Overall
plus
plus one.
-1. Gotcha.
yeah. Let's have Wallflower.
1 success.
Okay, so your harmony hasn't shifted. Johnny, yes, you get a point willpower back for fucking off and doing that thing. Not for the raging bit, obviously. But Phil, you do get a point. You get 1 point willpower back for the operation line. Yes, so there you are, gathered back inside. It will soon be time to freshen yourselves up and head off to the pub to meet with Stormbringer's buddies, and then head to the club, which we're not going to tackle in tonight's session. We don't have enough time left for that. But I think we have enough time for the aftermath of the various things that have just happened.
I sit down, grab like 3 beers, and I'm going to start pre-gaming with these 3 beers in front of me. And I crack one open. Barrow Mound protected for a month. Anyone who tries to approach it outside of us will find it very difficult to navigate the landscape and hopefully get turned around and sent back to the edge.
And
if a human does manage to cross that distance, then they deserve to be killed.
What was the cost?
I made a deal with the Coloplexy.
Care to share?
Sure. We are to protect. We are to bring no harm to.
Not to use violence against. Yes,
not to use violence. Not to use violence against the spirit. Thin blood? Was that it, Chris?
Mistress Tin Blood.
Oh, Mistress Tin Blood.
Who is this Mistress Tin Blood?
Oh no.
Well, if she doesn't bring violence to us, then I guess we don't have a problem.
And there's more than just violence to deal with spirits who cross us.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if the Coloplexy doesn't necessarily want to sour any agreements we have.
Yeah, you're fairly sure the Coloplexy is doing honest dealing with you, not trying to like trip you up or trap you.
But
if we want to make friends, sometimes that means agreeing to play nice with friends of friends.
And we do need spirit friends.
So,
as we just seen.
So, Chris, in the future, that maze ward would also potentially work on fear spirits that try to come up there, right? Like,
I will have to double check, but obviously you can place other ones. I will. While you carry on, I'll check what will affect
rather. Yeah. Anyone who tries to just navigate the area should hopefully get lost. So that place needed to be protected. So I had to go learn a gift.
Yep. Yeah, it affects spirits as well.
Cool.
Good thing to do. You did it good.
That remains to be seen.
sorry. It needs to be protected. I'm going to make whatever deal I need to protect that location. I down another can of beer.
Made the right call. That place needs to be protected. And it's not like you or me are going to be standing there all day and night.
Yeah, Johnny's going to also pick up the purity facet later.
Yeah.
He's going to be burning a lot of essence on that thing every month.
We also
I
got
got the name of the biggest spirit, or perhaps no, that would be the name of the spirit lord, wouldn't it?
You got the name of the spirit, and you got the name of the spirit lord that placed the mask on it.
Buried Deep is the spirit lord's name.
Sinsbury Deep, right? That was it? OG, that's what I remember.
So there was some benefit to this massive cock up tonight. Got it.
Well, it didn't go great, but it wasn't a complete failure.
So, and I know this is going to be kind of terribly dad joke-ish, but Stormbringer is going to storm off to his room, get changed, grab an umbrella, and start heading out to go to the club. I'm assuming we have time yet.
Yeah, you've got a bit of
Because
time.
I have a question for you. If he goes in Urhan form and then shifts back, do his clothes become wet as well?
No, I don't think they...
When he
Okay.
shifts back,
They
his
must-
hair will just be wet and look like he ran through the storm, but his clothes will be dry.
I think he would look like he'd run through the rain, actually, out on the outside. Because otherwise, the other excuse is that your skin under your clothes is all wet, but your clothes
Right.
aren't. Which
Well, I was
is
just thinking if he found a spot and shook off, would
Yeah.
he
you
remain
look about
mostly
as
dry?
you will look about as wet as you should do. So what that means is if you go and find a spot, shake yourself off, and then turn back human, you will look maybe like you got a little bit of rain on you, but not a great deal. You didn't get like drenched. If
Got
you
it.
come in, you just wander in, having completely sodden. Don't shake yourself off and just turn to a human. You'll look like a very wet and bedraggled human.
Okay, so he's going to do that. He's going to shift into Urhan and take off towards the club and find himself a spot to shift back and walk over.
Okay,
He kind of wants to be alone right now.
alone with his drink. Okay, so the rest of you presume you hear the door. Not slam, but you hear the door noise as Stormbringer.
Oh, no, it's
a while later. Oh, slam as the Stormbringer leaves off into the storm. You feel pretty content. He's probably going to the pub because that's where you're all going shortly. But he's decided to make his exit in a particularly just like my 7-year-old earlier today when she didn't get sprinkles in her ice cream.
No sprinkles! Slam.
Well,
Pretty
I
much.
say we call a cab.
does he usually do that?
Thornbreaker shrugs in exasperation. He says he needs a few minutes to get ready. He's actually going to call up Jenny and check on her and see how she's doing. There's been a roller coaster ride for her these past few days.
You ring up, and Jenny picks up the phone and says, "Hey, something up? Things exploding? Do you need me for something?"
No. Just I just wanted to see how you're handling everything.
Yeah, no, everything's fine here. Things are okay. There are no problems here at the moment. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should I make an empathy roll to see if she's
Give me a wits plus empathy roll.
being honest?
I'm just saying Jenny's got us pegged. We're always up to no good.
No successes. So I have no idea.
That's the one.
Oh wait.
Oh,
is it?
there he goes. No, I thought I saw a previous roll. I'm sorry.
So he's not convinced one way or the other. He feels like he can't pick up on the normal cues that he would pick up on if she were present over the phone. And so he says, "Is there anything I can do?"
I don't know, really. I mean, I'm not sure what to say over the phone. Especially when I'm around the house, and there are people not too far away from me. Especially given some of the things that we've talked about. So I don't know if there is anything you can do. Like, I don't mean that. Like, I'm not being sarcastic. I genuinely don't know.
He stops for a moment, and then thinks about the recent encounter on the hill and says, "Would you want me to teach you how to fight?"
Maybe. I might need some more. That might be a conversation that isn't going to work very well over the phone.
Sure. Let's talk about it the next time you come to Walker Grippa.
Yeah, sure. Sure. Okay, sure.
He nods, satisfied with himself.
All fine.
I found the key. Fine. Punch it until it's solved. And he says, "Well, if you need anything, just call me."
Yeah, and obviously, vice versa, I guess.
I will.
Guess. Okay. Right. Okay. Sure. Anyway. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Bye. And she turns Shanks up.
And then he stops and he looks at himself in the mirror and then says, "I'm really shit at this." And then he walks out the door of his room.
So the pack are sort of like everything. So you have you squirreled away your Rahalunin buddy. You've seen the calculated fear spirits coming out to try and round him up and learned the name of whatever's masked them. Stormbringer has gone by himself to the, I can't remember if we said what it was, the King's Arms or whatever random pub it is. It's in the centre. It's in Gilcombe, but it's a pretty normal pub, to be honest. It's not in any way unusual or special. It's a local pub that a bunch of people go to. There are quite a few pubs in Gleesham, and this one is not extraordinary in any particular way. The pub food is okay. The beers are all right. It's not the kind of clientele where anyone's going to start kicking the shit out of each other. And equally, it's not the kind of place where someone's going to look at you and go, "We don't like Americans round here. Where are you sort from?" It's not that kind of place. In fact, mostly the people in here are just townsfolk, from the middle-ish class kind of swathe of town. Although it's a bit mixing a bit now as the evening has been drawing on more people coming in to drink. Because it's well placed by the high street, you do get a lot of people coming here who are going to go to one of the clubs later on. But you're able to nurse your beer with a certain amount of solitude, the surly solitude that Stormbringer desires. He gets in this pub until a little while later, and we'll tackle next time. Your buddies start to trickle in. You see the first. There's Jim. Oh, there's the guy. I can't remember his name, but the one who you who got shunted with the consequences of the spirit that shanked you. He's come in. Yeah. He's still got like his arm is still bandaged up in the face. He's like, "Oh, hey, buddy." Yeah, and they start to come in, and over the next half hour. You've had maybe 20, 30 minutes surly by yourself. And then over the next half hour, these guys, and you get a lot of clapped shoulders and a bunch of guys who largely look quite similar to Stormbringer in build, to be honest, coming over and like, "Hey, it's great to see you." And you find yourself surrounded by a little pool of warmth and chatter and merriment, happiness. There's a few of them are down for one of the reasons, but generally everyone's keen to see you and each other. They're keen to raise a beer together. They're keen to be in your and each other's presence. It's not the same as the pack. Few things are, it's not the same as the pack and the spiritual bond. Even when you hate the others because they've done something stupid or they're saying you're stupid, even the times when you're pissed off, there isn't that there isn't that underlying power of connection that you have with the rest of the pack. But let's not sell this short. This is still pretty good. So you gain a point of willpower back for meeting up with these guys. And basically, with Stormbringer, I think where we're leaving it is as him settling in with his touchstones, basically bundling him around to give him the equivalent, the social, manly equivalent of the group hug-esque, mentally, kind of thing, to give him that sense of satisfaction and being and belonging to people who you don't have to worry about that shit right now.
There's a lot of fist bumps. Got it.
Yeah. The rest of the pack, you're starting to get yourselves ready to head out. Mary's come down to sort of see you off, and sees you guys getting yourselves together to go out to town. So I guess she doesn't do something like say don't burn the town down. She knows she hopes that's a given at this point. But she just checks her goes, obviously, if you're going to be out super late, obviously. Text me so I know whether to close things, to lock up and stuff.
Somebody please say yes, Mom. Please. I'm not there. I can't say it. Please.
And she goes and points. She looks over, points Johnny and Harmonious Flame to in the entrance hall now, and basically by both of the main entrances at the back and the front. The back one's sort of 7th century, but the front one as well. In the nearest side table, when you come in each entrance, she has bundled a fairly extensive but only first aid kit under each, so that basically whenever you come in and you need to stop someone bleeding profusely everywhere or etc., there is something immediately to hand, so that you don't sort of just bleed through the whole mansion in a gory trail that when the police turn up and start flicking a little blacklight shit around, we'll see wow, 50 people were murdered repeatedly in here, apparently, by the amount of gore that's been splashed around over the past few days.
I love it. Side note, Chris, and it has to do with werewolf healing and that aspect, which is why I'm bringing it up. We stop bleeding immediately, but the aggravated wounds don't heal, right? We don't continue to bleed, but the wounds are still there?
You stop suffering from blood loss damage. The wound's still there, so you will not suffer further damage from blood loss. You clot super fast. What that means is you can still end up bleeding for a while, but it's not in a significant amount enough to damage you, and even that soon cleans up much sooner than a human. Although, to be fair, most humans would just die for a little while,
right. Well, no, I'm just thinking like I had that big fight with Douchey McDoucherson. Douchey McDoucherson. And I obviously got pretty roughed up, so did he. Within moments of that fight ending, the wounds are still there, but they're scabbed over, clotted up.
Scab over. There might be, when you're moving, it'll be a little bit of squeezing out of blood and things, ripping of clots and stuff and scabs. But yes, they will fairly rapidly start. It doesn't mean you'll instantly stop showering blood everywhere if you've had your arm ripped off, but it will stop supernaturally quickly.
Okay, so basically, it's a rare occasion that we will need these first aid kits. They're more for Jenny, Mary, any
and also,
humans we bring back.
There's also situations where, for example, you come back and someone's going to turn up shortly and you look like you've been through a meat grinder. It would probably be a good idea to at least stick some bandages on so that you don't just answer the door going, "Hey, yeah, had my chest eaten by a 7-faced monster from beyond the stars. It's okay. I'll be fine."
Got it.
Because humans tend to freak out when they see, for two reasons. Firstly, they tend to freak out when they see people who should be dying, going, "I'm fine." Secondly, humans witnessing regeneration can suffer lunacy.
Good to know.
Yeah, it can be quite a good idea to hide the actual knitting flesh.
Pro tip, budding players: keep a first aid kit around.
Mm-hmm.
So Johnny is just drinking in an effort to kind of mask the spiritual pain he's feeling from being forced out of death rage and from getting repeatedly punched in his spiritual face by the cataplexy.
Yeah, well, the punching in his face, I mean, that's almost a friendly kind of violence, But yes, certainly the death rage has been taking its toll, to be honest. It's not been a nice experience in that respect. I found him right. Okay, so I'm trying to quick look through some stuff here. I'm trying to find the name of a character.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there we go. Found him. Okay. So you're there, being a bit spiritually bruised. Thornbreaker, you've had your goddess slam revelation into your brain. You've gone up and seen that real revelation. I don't know how Thornbreaker is feeling at this point. You think the queasiness of having a loon bond with you is gone, thankfully.
Exhausted? I think emotionally exhausted is probably the right word. He's got a weariness about him at the moment.
It's been a very busy couple of days. And Harmonious Flame, how are you feeling?
Harmonious Flame is feeling conflicted because the others don't know yet, but she treats the Oath of the Moon more as a guideline than an actual oath that you have to follow, like, to the letter. So she feels like saving the loon by letting them bond with one of the pack was a good thing to be happy about. And she's conflicted because the rest of the pack seem to be not happy about this.
So
she's
just
like,
to
am I
clarify,
wrong or are they wrong? What's going on here? Did I do something wrong? I'm not entirely sure.
Did I miss something in werewolf school?
Yeah.
Can we just address that really quick, Chris? I don't recall a spirit riding one of us is not against the Oath of the Moon, correct?
It is not. It is somewhat, I'm going to say, it is sensitive ground for Storm Lords, specifically because they choose the Ridden as
right. I'm the only one who seems bothered by the fact that he did it. Thornbreaker's more seems just like he's exhausted from doing it.
Well, there's two elements to it. So firstly, it is specifically a potential issue for Stormlords. It is worth noting there are some Stormlords who specifically allow claims to occur so they can hunt them because they think it's worthy prey. And if there's no claim around, what the fuck are you going to do? Most Stormlords obviously are a bit down on that kind of thing, but some also there's a lot of variation in how they treat it. Werewolves in general are very, very suspicious of Ridden, because they are generally a very bad thing. They are a transgression against Fatherwolf's law. The Stormlords have a particular hard-on about it, but everyone should be a bit concerned. That's how flexible werewolves are varies from place to place, pack to pack, werewolf to werewolf. What Thornbreaker, however, it's very rare for spirits to end up urging werewolves. It's quite hard for spirits to end up urging werewolves. It is also known to be a bad thing for werewolves to bond to loons as totems. Now, that's not what happened here. But Thornbreaker, having had that loon fettered to you, you think you get a feeling of why it might be bad. In this case, you were not infected with the loon's madness. And make no mistake, Arahira is mad. He is mad as a box of frogs.
That's why I love him.
But what you felt was the other side of it, not just the insanity, but the admixture of essence. It was not only bad for you, it was bad for him. Because werewolves are swirling lumps of mercurial essence. So are loons, but they are very much swirling lumps of the moon's mercurial essence. Once you start dumping other stuff into a loon, like wolf, predator, boundary, hunter, pack, your essence you've connected to from the glass locus, essence you're connected to from your totem, all that starts to become almost, you think, toxic for a loon. It is a bunch of stuff that should not be in a loon's self. So you think that, yeah, for you it was bad because it was literally metaphysically not great. Stormbringer's probably pissed because it was philosophically not great. Harmonious Flame may just be a sociopath, or she may simply be willing to sacrifice all sane things in pursuit of her goals and science. We will find out whether she's how much she is like that in future sessions, I suspect. But I think that is, yeah. So in terms of clarifying that, there it is different effects certainly on Stormbringer and Thornbreaker as to why they're feeling the way they are, or not.
Okay, no, I don't know because she
yes.
Right, and it's because you expressed that you thought you were breaking the Oath of the Moon by allowing this to happen, which is why I kind of brought it up. In that I know for me, I didn't think it had to do with Oath of the Moon, whether or not that whole thing was a bad thing. For me, it's more that I feel like I broke my vow to Winter Wolf to hunt the Ridden by allowing that to happen.
So,
not only allowing it to happen, but allowing it to happen to one of my friends. Whether or not Stormbringer, in his mad rage of destroying everything that gets in my way, is going to become one of those Stormlords who's like, yes, ride him so I can eat you.
Right.
That's a whole nother story because he's just sociopathic enough to do that. But it happened to one of his pack, and so he feels like he violated his oath to Winterwolf, which, Chris, we may address in the next session. I do want to note that that's something I want to bring up with them.
So Thornbreaker also has sort of a wider interpretation of the Oath of the Moon. Thornbreaker is a true believer of the old myths, and therefore the Oath of the Moon, while it is very specific in what its tenets are, in his mind it also means doing Father Wolf's duty, and he views the claimed as people breaking the law. So he doesn't like the idea of spirits claiming or riding other things. So this was sort of a philosophical problem for him also in that he was doing it, but he also has, he's got his tribal oath of not surrendering. And so the idea of trying to convince a loon, which is a representation of Mother Luna, who he holds in high regard, trying to encourage it to run was so abhorrent to him that he's like, well, I'm not going to let you die or get carried away and become a tool for our enemy, but I'm sure as shit not going to tell you to run away. So if the only option here is you got to ride one of us, I'll take the hit. I'll take the hit and deal with the aftermath, because when two oaths are in conflict, I have to make a choice, and in that moment he chose his tribal oath and said, yeah, hop on. And also, by the way, a large reason why he did that was because the loon just marked him with purity, because he claimed, at his own detriment, he followed his tribal oath. So in that moment, he was like, this is me nutting up and showing you I will follow my tribal oath at, detriment to myself. Hop on.
Speaking of tribal oaths, sorry, carry on.
And for Johnny, the tribal oath takes all precedence. So he will murder another werewolf if he has to for violating a sacred place. He will do whatever it takes to follow his tribal oath.
So anyway, Chris, go on.
Yep. So speaking of tribal, such weighty matters as tribal oaths and the philosophy of why the pack does what they do and how far they will go to do it. You don't hear the crunch on the gravel of the drive of the car approaching, because you are busy in your bathrooms, in your bedrooms, whatever, clean yourselves up to go to the pub. But there you do hear the ding dong at the door. Someone has pressed the because you've got a modern buzzer next to the big wacky. It's a big double door at the front of the mansion, but there's a little thing you can press, bing bong, because you wouldn't hear the rap over this fucking rain that some bastard made happen. You never hear the knocking on the door. So
it's the razor. Run.
And your guy's getting out, and Mary's like, oh, I'll get it. She goes down, and you hear a voice that you haven't heard for a while, as these things go. One of the very first people you met, just before the funeral of Great Aunt Clarice, Kelly Carr, the chap, he is a wolf-blooded of the Spear Wardens who you met, who is, by some weird thing here, technically considered to be a blood talon, even though he's not a werewolf. She's like, oh, it's yeah, so you hear some brief bit of talk at the door, you hear his voice, and then Mary going, Thornbreaker, it's for you.
Thornbreaker walks down the stairs.
Or if I should say Bill, would you? Bill, it's for you. So Heather says, Kelly though, the same chap, he's looking, he's just wearing workman farmer's kind of shirt and trousers, kind of thing. With a rainproof jacket on, but he's a little bit wet from the walk from the Land Rover, the really crummy Land Rover that's parked outside. It's not a good one. It's seen many fucking years. But he's there, smiles towards you. He's got something like a little package wrapped up, quite heavily wrapped up, then taped up a lot. It's not a letter. It's not like a package with an address. He's obviously brought it to you. He goes, here are my friends. That was about to do an Irish accent. I don't know, Dorset accent, not an Irish accent. Yeah, he's got a slight Dorset accent. Only a slight Dorset accent. He goes, here are my friend. Got something from from the mutual friend of ours.
Good to see you, Kelly.
Linebreaker was on the line with you recently, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, he said at the time he said he promised maybe a little bit of help. He couldn't exactly promise bodies, vice versa, or whatnot. But he asked me to bring you over something that might be of use, because he wasn't sure if you were outfitted such. Obviously, he says what he's sending over to you is not something to be discussed more widely than your pack and ours, that this has been handed over to you. And obviously, it's not the kind of thing you should be waving around willy-nilly, and always be very careful in your use of such, and always be very measured in your use of such, and never use it frivolously, only for when you must. But he figured it might be an iota of help he could do with, and just in case you needed the option, hands you the package, There you go. Careful with it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, that's all. And Mary's like, "Oh, do you want to?" So she's had a quick chat. And she's like, "Oh, right, he's Wolf. Do you want to come and have a cup of tea or something? Because this lot are about to go out." And it's like, "Oh, yeah, sure." So basically, she ushers him off to the kitchen to have a drink before he gets sent back across the Blackmore Vale home, having served as courier for this. She gives you a look, Thornbreaker, as she pushes away. Like she looked like looking at the package, looking at you, and kind of, you might want to check. Basically, you think rather than just being solicitous towards a fellow wolf-blooded, she is probably trying to make sure he's still here in case you need anything more out of what comes from that immediately. But then she ushers him off to the kitchen to make him tea.
Thornbreaker is fairly sure he knows what's inside. He goes up to his room, and he makes sure he has a rag or some cloth ready to handle it, and he opens it up to see what's inside.
Yeah, and inside is a layer of bubble wrap. You tear that aside, and there's another layer of wrap and another layer of bubble wrap. And then in a thick leather wrapping in the center of that, you see the glint of silver. It is a silver... I will say its dagger gives the impression of something that is perhaps more, it's a combat knife of silver, but it's not. It's made in the manner of a combat knife, but it's not a official one. Someone has made this in that kind of design, but it's not like a perfect kind of machined tool from a. It's pretty well made. Someone's done it by hand. It is a combat knife. The hilt, however, on the kind of modern materials you get today, is wrapped in leather. It's not, and the hilt itself isn't silver. The tang probably goes inside, but the hilt itself, there's something underneath the leather, wooden stuff. You think it is? Yeah, it's a length of silver. As you draw it out of its bundle, your blood. I'm not going to say sings. That's the wrong word. Your blood screeches. You feel just from holding it like a slight tremor in your veins of something that is going, careful now, buddy. Don't fucking slip with this. You are, whether you want to be or not, you are instantly and deeply aware of what you are holding.
He mutters under his breath, "Let's hope it doesn't come to this." And he wraps it up very carefully again with all the layers of bubble wrap. Is there somewhere in his room that he... So first of all, he can't sense it remotely. It has to be like revealed to him. He has to see it. So once it's all wrapped up safely and he doesn't think it'll be detected, is there somewhere he can safely stow it?
Yeah, give me a wits plus larceny roll for trying to hide it somewhere good.
Alright, so that's going to be -1. Unskilled, it's going to be 2 dice. Two successes. Look at that.
Yeah, you aren't able to break the structure of the room to hide it somewhere, but you basically find with a couple of the end tables that you've got in here, you've turned one against the wall and the other one against it, so it looks like a table which actually has... The drawers it's in are hidden away from easy sight, and you'd have to haul the stuff, quite some heavy stuff around to get in there, which would be easy for you just to crack it open and grab it if you need to, but anyone searching over the room will have to spend some serious time turning the place over to find it.
Awesome.
No.
And with that delivery, Stormbringer sits surrounded by a ring of friends in the warmth of the pub. Harmonious Flame, Johnny, and Thornbreaker gather again downstairs to prepare to go out. Mary looks at you and is like, "Oh, it's like, is everything fine? Out of hearing of Kelly before you go."
Thornbreaker just nods.
Okay. Well, it's just, have a good time then. I'm just going to sit with Kelly for a while here and chat about wolf-blooded things, she says, affecting a certain mock surliness to her voice. And then shoos you off into the rain, where a taxi is arriving to carry you into town, which I believe Johnny had suggested you get a taxi into town rather than all get booked.
Yep.
So the three of the pack get piling into a taxi, getting ready to party. The fourth happily ensconced already at the beginnings of a party. We will leave it there for today. That is the end of today's session, last session before Christmas. Again, it's been a not a slow paced session of what was going on, but there's a lot going on in relatively small periods of time. We've had 2 sessions on the same day. We have a third for the night, I suspect. So we'll see what managed to explode off the back of the series of smaller explosions that have happened these past 2 sessions. For now, let's tag aspiration. Starting, working way around my screen. Ag, what are Harmonious Flame's aspirations that she may have hit?
Destroy Hawkhurst and his cult. Yes, we made progress on that. We've learned something new.
Yes, learned data about that.
And find out what is hiding in the barrow. I went and looked at it.
Yes, you've found out more about the Barrett.
And explore Thornbreaker's visions.
Which is happening quite directly, yes. Okay, Stormbringer.
All right, so the first one is learn WTF. I let out of the cage.
You are learning. You specifically went out your way to find out more of why the Kestrel's using that place, etc., to spring out. So I'm happy to give you a beat for that.
Okay. The next one was find out what happened to Cinders and Illumination. I know it consumed. I figured out that it consumed essence from him. I don't know that necessarily counts. That's up to you.
I will say yes this once, but that's probably, if you like. The only other way to find out what's happened to Cinders of Illumination now is basically to wait and see whether he recorporates or not.
Got it. So I'll remove that as an aspiration.
So you've got the beat, but there's really no more you can do on.
Okay, and remove the architect's claim on the land. We found the name of the fear spirit that's creating the masks, or the spirit that's creating the masks, and we know that's tied to him somehow. Yes, and so that's part of unraveling the mystery of him. I don't know if that's going to count.
I will allow it because I'll allow that because Harmonious Flame had made the connection between the moonlight things and how Hawkhurst may be getting his renown, etc., as well, which implies there is a very strong tie between the two. So I will say that the connections that were gained mean that you have made progress on that as well. You know that you've made progress on that. Okay, Thornbreaker.
Okay, my first one is learn more about Hawkhurst and the Oozers, which we made progress on.
Yes, you did.
My second is learn more about the missing drug shipment, which we did not.
No, sadly not.
And then the last one was increase my purity, which I actually got a dot of purity renown.
Yep.
So I hit that one.
Okay, and last of all, Johnny Galloway.
I think we only really tagged one aspiration, which is find out more about the sacred place in the territory.
Yep.
And we the only other one that might apply is investigate the drugs issue in the territory. We really didn't make any progress towards that.
No.
We're trying to get ready for it to go out.
Yeah, that's not really. That'll be a next.
Yeah, that's fine. Yep. That's
okay.
It.
So, what was your third aspiration then?
Find the secondary locus in the territory.
Yes, no, that's so far. Okay, so where we're at, you have 17 beats, which is not enough to get an XP, but as a Christmas gift to the pack, I will give you enough beats to round off. It's a special Christmas festive season. 3 more beats, which puts you at 0 beats for next time, but means you will get 1 XP.
Nice.
So we'll be starting the new year with another XP. Awesome.
Yep. So that nicely was off. Next time you have 0 beats to start with, but that is 1 XP for everyone this time. And and I think that's it. I don't think there's anything else for us to tackle at the end of that session. The pack are about to get round to the thing they were trying to do last time, which is go into town, have some fun, probably kill some people in horrible fashion, and maybe find out more about what the hell's going on. And I am looking forward to next session for that one. But that is all from me, I believe.
Fantastic. For those of you who joined us late, later today we will be uploading today's session to YouTube. If any of you need that, just drop a line in chat. We'll go ahead and link it. We hope you guys have an awesome holiday, anybody who celebrates. And we are looking forward to seeing you guys the week after, so 2 weeks from now, when we resume with Chapter 6 of Story 2. Thank you guys, the viewers, the fans, for tuning in every week for our shenanigans and for supporting the stream. We love you guys, and warm wishes for the season. We'll see you guys soon.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, bye-bye.